in any case, let's blast off. We got a lot going on, obviously, and I want to get through some of the. Happy Father's Day once again. I want to get through some of the news because there's obviously some news that we must discuss. Unfortunately, because a lot took place this morning. I actually wasn't planning on doing a lot of news. I thought we would do like a full Sunday fun day slate, right? And I sincerely thought we would be able to do a full Sunday fun day slate, but unfortunately, JD Vance and my goat Abbas Araghchi, the most aura having foreign minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran, they got together. Abbas actually snubbed JD Vance. That was really funny. The Qataris also snubbed JD Vance. That was also funny. And then the entire Iranian delegation walked out. Also, speaking of the Gulf is on top. Giancarlo Esposito, also known as Gus Fring, from the Breaking Bad franchise, has converted to Islam in Saudi Arabia, and that is also pissing off a lot of people. It's always great when all these like supposedly liberal, open-minded thinkers will see someone revert to Islam, find the light of Allah, and say the Shahada. And it's so funny that people will see that and they get really hurt. They're like they're in their fifis. It's like, why does this matter to you? Skip personal news. You've changed. Refund me. Bruh. That's true. I did. Well, there's nothing going on. It's fucking Sunday. I didn't do shit. I went to bed early. I woke up. I didn't even go and play basketball as I normally would. I didn't work out as I normally would this Sunday because I was just really tired. I don't know why. And I think, well, many of you will immediately say, oh, I know why. You're tired because you stream all day, there's probably some truth to that. And then you also, on top of streaming all day, travel all the time. And there's also probably truth to that as well. I didn't even jork my peanuts. I didn't actually burp the worm last night. Like I don't do anything. I'm a chud ass loser. You should know this already. I am a chud ass loser. Okay. Grade A chud. Gack. I used to be a grade A yapper, gay. Now I'm a grade A chud. Is because you're old. Weren't you in New York City 3 days ago? Okay. Why are you paying close attention to my travels like that? Huh? Do I ask you where you've been? Do I come to your house and I say, weren't you at the same gas station 3 nights ago buying Swisher Sweets as well? And you're getting them again? How about I take a close look at your finances? What about your carbon footprint? If you are queer, do not check into Hotel Piker. It's psychological warfare. Yeah, you want to watch this? This is a diabolical thing that I did. So as you guys know, Casa de la Piker is open for business. And contrary to what my haters think, mostly it's occupado by gay men. Okay? But sometimes I love having a little fun. Okay? With my gay occupants. Christian had checked into Casa de la Piker. Let's take a look.
I've ever experienced at the hand of Hassan Piker, okay? It was actually evil. And I'm still not over it. So, as y'all know, sometimes I clock in, I check into Hotel Piker. Is that what he calls it? Hotel Hassan, Hotel Piker? I don't know. Okay, and I was there by myself because I was like going ahead of Austin because they were filming Fear and later on in the week, but I wanted to go to acting class, or maybe it was a voice lesson or something. My acting class canceled that week. Either way, it was a whole moment. Anywho, When I go to Hassan's, I try to be demure as fuck, okay? I try not to take up too much space. I try to be chill. I try to be, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to live my truth, get my shit done, but I don't want to invade his space. I don't want to feel like, I don't want to be bothersome. You know what I mean? I just try to be like as tiny, petite as possible, okay? And this is good context for the story, all right? And so I'm like chilling, whatever. I'm like talking with, you know, Hannah, my queen. We're having a giggle. And Hassan goes to move by me, and I'm like sitting at the edge of like his kitchen island, okay? And there's like a plug in this kitchen island, all right? He like squeezes by me, and as y'all know, like I got a fat ass. Like, hell, let me show y'all. I know everyone's begging, like, what do you mean fat ass? Like, let me see. No, I know. Hold on. Like, okay, sorry. Why did that take my breath away? Like, it's pretty voluptuous.
Why
okay?
did that take my breath away? Oh,
so
what
Hassan
the
goes to
fuck?
like squeeze by me, okay? And I try to be demure as fuck. So like I push to the back of like his kitchen counter as he's walking by me. And like I hear like something fall behind me, and it's like a charger that's like charged into like a port that's like right there or whatever. And so I'm like, oh shit, okay, my fat ass. Like I knocked down the charger or whatever. So I'm joking. I'm like, oh, like, you know, I'm so thick. Like I dropped the charger. And Hassan looks back and he's like, bro, you just cracked my kitchen counter. And I'm sitting there like, fuck you talking about? What do you mean I just cracked your kitchen counter? Mean. Girl, tell me why I look back at the fucking kitchen counter and there is a crack from the charging outlet all the way down to the floor. And I'm sitting here like, holy fucking shit. He's gonna be so upset. He looked genuinely like shocked and just like utterly befooled by the fact that I just cracked his kitchen counter with my ass. And like I'm texting Austin feverishly. I'm like, oh my fucking god, like, oh my god, I'm freaking out. I totally just cracked Hassan's kitchen counter. Like I totally just cracked his kitchen island. Like I'm fuck. Like, because like I said, I try to be demure as fuck when I stay there. I'm not trying to like take up too much space. I'm trying to be like cutesy, okay? I'm not trying to break shit. I don't want to make a mess. You know what I mean? What's that like camping shit where they're like, leave it as you found it or whatever? That's how.
Leave no trace. That's what it is. It's LNT. Leave no trace.
I try to be at Hassan's house. So I'm sitting here flipping out like freaking shit. And he like goes, sits on the couch, and bro just does this thing where he's just like, doom scrolling like on Twitter, like as the world falls apart, and he's like, damn, I gotta report on this tomorrow, you know what I mean? And like I'm just having a conversation, I'm just like, I'm literally just like shaking because I'm just like, oh my fucking god, like I was just befooled, like fuck me, like I totally just like fucked his shit up. And then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go to bed. Like if I have to pay for it, or like, you know, whatever, Austin, by me I have to pay for it. I mean, if Austin has to pay to fix it, so be it. Austin wasn't really upset with me. He was like, it happens, it's whatever. Hassan's probably not even gonna care or even try to fix it. So as I'm fucking walking up, I'm like, all right, y'all, like, I'm gonna go to bed, whatever. Hannah and David are there. I'm like, I'm going to bed, y'all. I'm like, good night, Hassan. He's like, good night. And by the way, it was already broken. Bro literally lied to my fucking face when I tell y'all it was Oscar-worthy beat work. I would genuinely believed that I cracked his fucking kitchen counter with my ass, and it was already fucking broken. And Hannah and David are laughing their fucking asses off because they also knew that it was already broken. Like, what the fuck?
I let him sit in that for like a good 15. Okay. I let him sit in that thinking that his fat ass cracked my kitchen island down to the bone. Okay. And he's like panic calling Austin and shit. And I'm just sitting there, not even letting a peep, shaking my head, traumatizing gaze during Pride Month. How could you? And I didn't even give him a smile. You know what I mean? I was just like disappointed. I was disappointed, uncle.
Mind you, it's Pride Month. All of this goes down during Pride Month. Like, hello, I'm literally just gonna hate crime me during Pride Month?
Yep.
It was diabolical. It was diabolical. The entire house fucking betrayed me. All of them had, you know what? I gotta taste my own fucking medicine though, because I be lying to them all the fucking time.
It's true. He does. Yeah. Is my streamer evil? Yes. No pride parade, no gaming. Yeah. No, I just sat there and I let him sink in. Okay. Faux status maintained. Yeah. You always got to keep him guessing, bro. You always got to keep him guessing. You know what I mean? You can't be out here. You can't be out here thinking like letting the gays win. Okay, you can't be out here letting the gays think that they're gonna have a comfortable time at Casa de la Piker. You feel me? I'm not about that lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah. Also, that's fucking payback for when they actually called. That's payback for when they called me and made me lose my mind. I was so scared. Wait, what? Hold on.
Hey,
Wait, what's going on? Are you okay?
I'm on
What's
stream and Christian is bleeding out on stream.
Wait, what? Really?
Can I have $20?
Progress on moving toward.
Are you fucking with me, Peach? Come on. Dude, oh my god. I got... Oh my
You did
God.
not get
You
scared.
did not get scared.
No, I did. You sent me a crazy voicemail.
It was not crazy. I was talking in plain voice.
Oh my god. I didn't see it. I just read the transcript.
Oh my god, I'm literally
You
sweating.
read the transcript. I'm so sorry.
I fucking muted the broadcast. I thought you were being serious.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I will never do that again. Can I please have $20?
Sure.
Yay, my Venmo speech jars.
Oh my god. Okay. Alright.
You really
All right,
think if I was
bye.
bleeding out, you'd be my first call?
I don't know. I don't know what was going on. I thought you were being serious. I thought you were...
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm genuinely, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to scare you at all.
It's all good. All right.
But I
I'm glad
really
you
could
guys
use that
are okay.
$20.
Thank you, San.
All right, bye.
Wait, are you gonna send it?
She's not muted. You don't have to mute. I know, but I didn't know what was going on. Okay, dummies. I didn't know what the fuck was that. She literally sent me a voicemail in a panic state, being like, "I was in a car crash. Like, I need your help." And I just like, I genuinely thought yes, I did send her the $20, but I thought that there was something serious going on. Anyway, it wasn't. They were just fucking with me. Okay. Kind of not cool. It's fine, dude. Jesus Christ. It's fine. Chill out. Ruben Gallego is screwed, lol. Scoop. Ruben Gallego repeatedly used campaign cash to fund luxury outings with his wife and care for his children since launching his campaign for Senate 2023, including attending the Super Bowl using a joint campaign account with Eric Swalwell. Oh. Ooh, not good. Not good for our boy Ruben. Our boy Ruby. You streamers have a weird sense of humor. Okay, it's just memes. It's just jokes. It's just content. Calm down. All of this is just content. Okay? Everybody calm down. Ooh, Ruben. Ooh. Ooh, Ruben. Ruben Gallego. Anyway, but yeah, this is where we're at. We got, a bunch of cool artwork as, celebrating Father's Day. 10 campaigns, 1 movement, go vote, New York City DSA slate. Okay. Pantone, color of the year, another Epstein Files diversion green. Yeah, right now the pool is green. Okay. Like my shirt. It's no longer blue. Okay, we're no longer faking it because the Trump administration does not deserve it because currently they're fucking up the deal. They're fucking up the deal with Iran, and I don't like it. So the pool is back to being green. Okay, it depending on how JD Vance moves, maybe the pool tomorrow could be blue. I'm willing to commit, but currently it's kind of looking greenish to me. You found the Nasheed of Charlie Kirk. Okay, well, if we get a hype train going and carry the flame, we'll do that. What is this? Your shirt is green? Yes, just like the pool, the shirt is green. However, depending on Donald Trump's behavior, maybe the pool's blue again. Who knows? But this morning he was being a bad boy, and that's actually where we're going to start off today. Do we have a do we have a playlist? Send sexy leftist energy to us Colombians today. Hassan, we have a right-wing clown endorsed by Trump running against a socialist candidate. Results start coming out in 2 hours. Yes. My heart for Colombia. Polls open in Colombia's presidential race, pitting leftists against hardliner. Runoff election sees leftist Ivan Cepeda and a far-right lawyer Abelardo de la Espriella. Espriella. Espriella? Is that how you say it? Vying for the presidency. Dude, that's just every fucking South American election is like nun turned community organizer, indigenous rights advocate versus fascist military dictator lawyer who made a living off of murdering people in his father's coal mine. Like, we don't even know how the payment process worked, but he would just get paid. It was a pay per murder scheme where he killed every indigenous person working in the coal mine and he somehow made his money that way. Is always a Far Cry villain versus, like, you know, socialist leader. And then it's always 49-51. And it's always the fucking fascist psycho that gets the 51%. Colombian elections today. Tell the Maoist Colombian in your chat to vote for Cepeda unless they want Colombian Bukele in power. Yeah, copper mines, sir. Get it right. Yeah. Yeah. It's always like, hello, I'm a Chevron lawyer, and my father was a part of a paramilitary death squad. Or my father was in the halls of power and insert Latin American country's worst period of neoliberal austerity. And I'm running on a campaign of, I like Donald Trump, and we should make this country exactly like Donald Trump. I will not elaborate. And it's always the fucking, that guy is always getting, like, because of the WhatsApp groups, because of Twitter, because of the misinformation that flies around, half of the country's like, yeah, I want to vote for the Far Cry villain. Let's run the numbers. Let's fuck it up. Let's fuck the bag up. Who knows? Who cares? You know, fuck this indigenous rights organizer or whatever, you know, and they'll vote for the fascists. And then 8 weeks later, they're like, actually, this was the worst decision of all time. I now want to burn the fucking Capitol building. Well, why did you vote for him? Why did you vote for the guy if you were going to burn the Capitol building? You know what I'm saying? What the hell happened? Speaking of which, there's actually some good stuff happening in Bolivia. Speaking of indigenous protests in general, general strikes. What is this? Do you have any explanation? Because that doesn't even make sense. Feeding the ducks. What the hell? That doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, masturbation. That's what it is. Okay. Did you see the Costa Rican president getting a gift from Donald Trump and basically losing her shit? No, I haven't like covered too much Latin American stuff because it's so ass. Because as much as America's power around the globe is waning, as much as America is losing its hegemonic superpower status, as much as America takes L's in the Strait of Hormuz and ruins relationships that it had in the Asian theater, you know, in the Asia Pacific theater, America is redoubling its efforts as a part of the Monroe Doctrine, formerly known as the Monroe Doctrine, in its own backyard. And that is the unfortunate reality. And every single one of these fascists are unbelievably pro-Israel. It's very strange. It's like, bro, Israel is literally over there. Why the fuck do you care about Israel? Like, why would you have a statement out on Israel if you're the running for leadership office in Colombia or Costa Rica or Peru? Fujimori won. Adlai is almost certainly going to win in Colombia. Bolivia may be facing state violence. Is bleak. Yeah. It's not an accident that Latin America has had a very bad run at it. There was like a new resurgence of the pink tide. It almost happened, right? You got Lula, and then you had a guy in Bolivia. Like there was, or not Bolivia, sorry, obviously Evo Morales, but you had a guy in Chile, right? And then it was like a modest movement in the direction. And then you have Petro, obviously. You had a modest movement in the direction of social democracy in some of these South American countries. And instantly, everyone was like, actually, we want the most evangelical Christian fascists you can find. who's going to run on being supportive, more supportive to the nation state of Israel. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I understand why if you're a South American leader and you're like, I stand with the Palestinians, obviously you stand with the dispossessed. It's like there's a tradition of this sort of thing. You're anti-American imperialism. But I genuinely don't understand why you would be like, oh no, I actually am on the wrong side of history, like pretty aggressively. This is my rallying cry. This is how I will win the election. And then people still vote for it. And it's like, well, dude, you live there. You are part of the periphery. Like you are a part of the working class that's getting fucked over. I will say this, though. There's got to be some meddling. But anyway, that's South America. We're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the Strait of Hormuz.
This morning,
as you guys might know, there was a war that was taking place over the last 110 plus days in the Persian Gulf. America and Israel struck Iran first, decapitated its leadership, and then, of course, Iran implemented its Mosaic defense system, started pummeling Bahrain, Kuwait, all the Gulf states. The American bases and American assets in these Gulf states were thoroughly dismantled and destroyed with relatively affordable Shahed drones that are approximately $10,000 a pop. And they never really stopped. And then there was a stalemate for like the last couple of months between the United States of America and Iran. Iran had actually shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is where 20% of the entire world's energy supply transits through. And this was having a devastating effect on the global markets. Now, America came to the negotiating table with Iran. And one of the major demands from Iran, the first one, as a matter of fact, was to restrain Israel, to force America to restrain Israel, specifically in Lebanon, because Israel, of course, has been fighting a 18-front war at this point, constant frontierism, constant expansionist mentality, acquiring additional territory in Syria. They've also taken more territory in Gaza as well. When the initial Gaza ceasefire had started, Israel was only occupying 52%, which again is ridiculous. They should be occupying 0% of Gaza, but they had taken over 52% by this point now, almost a year after that initial ceasefire, the fake ceasefire was implemented. Israel is now at 64%. Israel's also taken 20% of Lebanon on top of everything else, and Israel is consistently pummeling Lebanon further and further, trying to push into Lebanese territory, violating Lebanese sovereignty, and having a tough go at it. Having a tough go at it because the Hezi boys are fighting back with FPV drones. Okay, your interview with The Independent dropped. Hassan Piker is in a state of disarray. Hassan Piker criticizes the UK left wing but praises Zach Polanski. Oh, damn. Oh, dang. Oh, dang. I didn't even see that. Taking advantage of the vacuum and precisely that. But as far as like Jeremy, why is the video footage so bad? This is terrible. Anyway, where was I? I got distracted. So yeah, we arrive at this past weekend. On Friday in Geneva, the United States of America with J.D. Vance and the entire Iranian delegation were supposed to sign the MOU. Trump actually signed it in the in the Palace of Versailles. Right? No stranger to, symbolism, historically relevant events taking place in Versailles, historically relevant defeats. J.D. Vance did not fly to Geneva on Friday because Iran said Israel is still pummeling Lebanon. We're not going to show up. The talks are off, and we're shutting off the Strait of Hormuz. Israel is still pummeling Lebanon, as a matter of fact. And earlier today, the Iranian delegation still arrived in Switzerland, and so did J.D. Vance, and the talks started. We're going to be obviously looking at the details, the minutia. But having said that, earlier Donald Trump, while the talks were going on, decided to tell Trey Yingst, Fox News national foreign policy correspondent, that he was going to threaten Iran. He was going to blow up Iran if they closed the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran reacted by leaving the talks early. Let's take a look.
President Vance arriving in Switzerland, joining U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for a new round of negotiations with Iran today. The high-stakes meeting coming amid a fragile agreement between the two countries that has been threatened by the conflict between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. At least 28 people have been killed in Lebanon since the ceasefire deal, according to the Lebanese state media, and at least one Israeli soldier has been killed, according to the IDF. Israel saying it targeted Hezbollah in response to incoming fire, Hezbollah accusing Israel of striking first. With the fighting in southern Lebanon escalating, Iran announcing on Saturday that it's shut the Strait of Hormuz, citing the strikes and the blatant breach and violation by the United States of the first clause of the ceasefire agreement, which calls for fighting to end on all fronts. But the U.S. is denying the claim that Iran is in control of the strait.
The straits are now open. The Iranian military is now destroyed.
CENTCOM reporting 55 merchant ships and 17 million barrels of oil traveled through on Saturday.
Still not up to the previous standard. Almost half, or, it's approximately 100 vessels that normally transit through the Strait of Hormuz, but that's a sign that things are changing for the better. Of course, there's conflicting reports here because Iran is saying they're closing the Strait of Hormuz. They've made a big deal about closing the Strait of Hormuz, just like they've made a big deal about leaving the negotiations. I personally think that maybe it's a little bit of showmanship from the Iranian side, and there's not a lot of real interest in fucking up the negotiation, which I worry that the Americans are aware of, which is why Trump is doing the theatrics here in America and Iran is doing the theatrics in Iran.
It's still unclear whether that vital waterway is open. Amid the uncertainty, President Trump declaring the U.S. will not tolerate tolls on ships passing through the strait unless they are imposed by the U.S. if the talks fail. But the signed deal says...
That was really funny. Yeah, Trump said, actually, we are closing the Strait of Hormuz and we are going to militarily seize control over the Strait of Hormuz. This is what he got from Lindsey Graham, by the way. We'll get to that as well. Lindsey Graham had a 4.5-hour conversation with Donald Trump about what to do next, which is always terrifying to think about because he's an animal. But Trump was reiterating that he would militarily overtake the Strait of Hormuz, something that they were not able to accomplish, but magically maybe this time they will be able to. And then they're going to charge a toll, which I found to be very funny. Trump said that they will go back. If Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, America's going to go back to the Strait of Hormuz, and America is going to militarily dominate the Iranians and overtake the Strait of Hormuz, and then they are going to charge a toll. And I find that very funny because, well, you didn't get to do that. Like, you could have done that in the last 100 days, and there's a reason why you're doing a ceasefire instead of currently controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And I think that's precisely because you are not capable of doing that militarily. If you were able to do that, you would have done that. Also, shouts out to the Iranian team. Iran scored a goal, it seems. Congratulations. Congratulations to Iran. Let's go. Hi, I'm a Christian. Hi, Christian guy. Why am I not seeing? Where's the Iranian? They're playing in Los Angeles right now against Belgium. It's 1-0. 25 minutes in the game. Iran has scored a goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now 1-0 against Belgium. Iran is winning. That's right. VAR? Wait, what? They're going to overturn it? Israel's coming in. Israel is claiming that there's an offside and they're doing VAR. Oh, God. Oh, God. Israel has decided. My sources are telling me that Israel has decided that the Iranian goal is actually offsides. The VAR reporting has shown that Israel's decided that Iran's scoring is technically anti-Semitic. Iranians experiencing joy is the deepest version of anti-Semitism. Israel has cancelled the Iranian goal. It's back to 0-0. The Iranian team is kicking the ball. Now replace ball with Jews. Not so funny now, is it? Yeah. You joke, but that's unironically like 90% of Hasbara nowadays. It's like, oh, wow. You said you like puppies and you don't like when puppies are hurt. Well, replace puppies with Adolf Hitler. Not so funny now, is it? This fundamentally changes the perspective, but it doesn't matter. Checkmate libtard. I heard Iran getting a free kick and thought they said Iran getting a free Palestine. Fart low. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so yeah, let's get back to the deal. It's a real will they, won't they?
Pass at no charge for 60 days only. Both sides have that time to hammer out the deals of the agreement, with Iran's nuclear program in full focus. Vance outlining his hopes for the talks before taking off for Switzerland.
I think we're hopefully making progress on the nuclear issue, making progress on the Lebanon ceasefire issue.
Well, the real diplomatic work, it starts now, and it's time for the sides to debate that major sticking point of what happens to Iran's stockpile of enriched nuclear material.
Let's go ahead and bring in ABC News Chief Washington Correspondent Jonathan Karl, who's going to be hosting This Week later here on ABC. John, it is good to see you, but as Britt just reported here, Vice President Vance is in Switzerland. What are the stakes for these talks?
Well, this is an opening round, Gio, and the vice president is there. We expect that within the next hour or so, he'll be sitting down with the Iranians. That part hasn't started yet, as far as we know. This is really where all the difficult issues have to get resolved. The memorandum of understanding got into no detail about what would happen with Iran's nuclear program. That was the reason for the war in the first place. So it's starting at a very tenuous moment with the...
Okay. As a suit guy, I've changed a little bit. And I've realized that I like notice certain things as a suit guy. I have to say something about Shabazz Sharif. Okay? As a suit guy, I have to recognize that his fucking suits are out of control. You're not a suit guy until you get matching pants so far as you're just wearing a blazer? What do you mean? I have plenty of suits that are matching. I just choose not to. I like mixing and matching it. This man genuinely throws fits nonstop, and he does not get the appreciation he deserves. Pakistan Zindabad. Not even a big fan of the guy politically. But honestly, great fits. I think Derek Suit Guy would probably agree with me. I don't like him, obviously. Free Imran Khan, but I'm just saying. And neither do the Pakistanis, but he always puts that shit on, bro. He always puts that shit on. That man does not miss, bro. He does not miss.
Issues have to get resolved. The memorandum of understanding the war in the first place. So it's starting at a very tenuous moment with the Iranians backing out for a bit because of what was happening in Lebanon and saying that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. They can't even agree on whether or not the strait is open. So expectations are not particularly high, but certainly the stakes are.
So the stakes are high. So how easy?
See, Derek Suit Guy approved. Interesting to me that when you see men on the global stage, beautiful Western-style tailoring is often worn by men from non-Western countries. Pictured here is Shahbaz Sharif from Pakistan, Akinwumi Adesina from Nigeria, and Narihito from Japan. That's fucking fire. Holy shit. I'm sure there are many badly dressed politicians and businessmen in Pakistan, Nigeria, and Japan, but you can't imagine the outfits above on a Western European or North American man. Instead, you're more likely to see stuff like this below. Lots of stuff driven by fashion designers ready to wear trends and a desire to look young and modern. To be fair, Pete's style is ass, but his suits are very well fitting. They're form fitting. I don't like the cut. The pattern matching on the suit is so great. The stripe matches across the gorge, which is the seam that connects the collar to the lapel. It also matches across the sleeve head and the body. And crucially, the jacket has a front dart, but the tailor created the dart in such a way to pull the stripe into another stripe, thus allowing the pattern to match across the pocket flap. This kind of thing would never be noticed by a customer unless they were obsessive about tailoring, which is unlikely in this case since Akinwumi Adesina is a high-profile economist who spends time thinking about more important matters. But it shows the tailor takes pride in their work. Also not something you see in the US because there are few real tailors left here anymore. Almost everything is run by business people who work with overseas made-to-measure factories where this sort of fine-tuning is less likely. Where on the spectrum is this class? Yes. As a man with special interests, sometimes those special interests change. And yes, you might have noticed that my special interest has turned into bespoke tailoring. For example, this is written by ChatGPT Dog? No, it's not. I have had suit autism for a little bit, but it's been great. Anyway, let's continue. Obviously, I'm not wearing anything bespoke today. Nothing tailored today. Just straight off the rack. Polar Ralph Lauren. I really do like this modern fit jacket, even though it is whatever.
Easily could the peace process really fall apart because of that conflict?
Cloud District Enjoyer says, I was the most embarrassing thing ever, a suit guy when I was a teenager. Buddy, let's be real. That is the most, you didn't need to tell me that. I know that from the way you type in the chat. Okay? Yes, you were absolutely a teenage suit guy, especially considering that your special interest is American foreign policy and international relations. Of course you were a teenage suit guy. What's next? You're going to tell me you had a fucking roller backpack? Oh my God, what a shock. No, worse. Not a roller backpack. A small handheld, tiny briefcase. Yeah. Which one was it? Because I know you definitely brought. I did have a rolling backpack, but it was because I had surgery. Okay, don't try to farm sympathy now. Don't try to farm sympathy. So you would have done a satchel if you didn't have the surgery. So you went with the roller backpack. Got it. Fuck you, I had both. I was a Hawaiian shirt guy in middle school because my mom said they looked good on me. Cooked. Oh my God. My little brother took a leather briefcase to elementary school. My brother was a roller backpack kid. Okay, the briefcase shit is hard. I see people with it in my college campus. No, I would do that now. I would do that now. I'm a suit guy now, but I'm 34. And it kind of makes sense. As a 34-year-old, it makes sense to be a little bit more into suits and wear and have a fucking briefcase that you
between
bring
Israel
everywhere
and
with
Hezbollah
you.
and Lebanon.
Well, it's astounding, Gio, when you consider that during a 48-hour period, you had the ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel broken and reinstated twice, back and forth, back and forth. So look, at any moment, that can jeopardize the peace talks. Remember, neither Israel nor Hezbollah are signed the memorandum of understanding, but both of them effectively have the ability to blow it all up.
We have about 20 seconds, John, but I want to ask you, if the talks fail, what could be the next move for the Trump administration?
Well, there's two options. One is to say that, look, we diminished Iran's military. We're just going to go along and basically at an uneasy status quo. And the other option, Trump has suggested, they could resume the war. But he has also said that if the war resumes, we could face a global depression. So not a lot of good options.
All right, and we always appreciate your insight on a Sunday. John Karl, thank you so much. And tune into This Week Later. John interviews Energy Secretary Chris Wright and former Obama National...
Demon. Anyway, we'll get to the U.S.-Iran talks. I just want to give you a brief showcase of how hard Israel defenders go. Okay. I'm not going to give you any notes. I just want you to listen to British Colonel Richard Kemp, retired, talking to the Jewish News Syndicate Summit in Jerusalem. No notes, no commentary. I just want you to listen to what he is going to say.
I speak as a goy, a mere goy. The Jews were put on the face of the earth to be a light unto nations. And Israel is being that light in defense of its own country. And I think most particularly, not just in military technology, but in the way in which those extraordinary men and women of the IDF have shown the world how to fight. And many countries in Western Europe, which are going to face this violence, will be looking to Israel to see how they're going to fight. So the narrative is one thing, but action, I think, is even more important.
Diabolical. Okay? I need you to understand something. First of all, obviously, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh my God, you know, the white race is being undermined here. Like, I don't care, right? I don't have a bone in my body that believes silliness like that. But this level of boomer philosemitism is actually insane. It is a manifestation of mental illness and nothing else. How did it happen? Okay? How did this happen? It's also my favorite thing to watch, like, you know, the Jewish National Syndicate or the you know, there's like a million of these conferences, as you guys know. Like, Zionist groups love throwing conferences together, and at those conferences they love having, like, you know, American Jews or European Jews go up on those conferences and be like, we are controlling the media and it's awesome. We love controlling the media. We've been doing it for a while and we're going to keep doing it at the behest of Israel. And it's my favorite thing to basically make sure that Westerners don't have free speech. That's my favorite thing. I am Jewish, by the way, and I'm co-signing this. I'm endorsing it. It's my favorite thing to do. It's great return on investment. We love doing it. And I don't know why. And then there's thunderous applause in the room. My favorite genre of clips is like this exact thing that happens over and over again. And I genuinely don't know, like, what the purpose of it is. Like, who is this for? Okay. But yeah, just normal. I'm going to run that back again. I'm going to run it back again.
I speak as a goy, a mere goy. The Jews were put on the face of the earth to be a light unto nations. And Israel is being that light in defense of its own country. And I think most particularly, not just in military technology.
It's memory for anti-Semites. Yes, but memory is a Israel Knesset funded operation to, like, clip stuff out of context. This is not out of this is just what he's saying. Memory also will take advantage of the you know, non-Arabic speaking world's attitudes towards Arabs in general. They'll, like, mistranslate things sometimes. You know what I mean? And they do it all the time, as a matter of fact. It's a very deliberate misinformation operation. JNS, on the other hand, is just straight up doing this on purpose and celebrating it. And it's not just JNS either. Yes, there's also a good deal of, like, posting the weirdest salafis you could imagine on television channels and whatnot. And being like, this is how every Muslim is, right? But I've often pointed to those, like, classic old school Kahanis videos where, like, some Kahanis rabbi will just be like, yes, of course, Jesus Christ is boiling in excrement. This is how all of us Jews feel about it. And every goy is cattle. And I always will be like, that's just like the Kahanis. It's not, you know, that's a very strange fundamentalist sect. This guy is not that. This is a straight up conference. You know what I mean? This is not like an edge case. This is a retired British colonel going on a JNS conference in Jerusalem and being like, well, as a goy, Israel is bringing light to the rest of the world by melting the Lebanese children. And that's wonderful. We love it. Speaking of as a goy, I want to show you another one.
Many of these.
I want to show you another take. Asmongold begs his chat to stop criticizing Israel and claims it's a distraction from Trump's amazing presidency.
These people are actual goyim, and you've been convinced that Israel is your biggest enemy while you side with other people that want to ethnically and demographically replace you in a different way, and you think that they're on their side. That's what's happening to you, and you're being played for a fucking fool. You've been poison pilled. And do you know why? It's because you're winning. It's because you're winning astronomically. You're completely destroying every one of their designs. You have totally removed the idea of, genital mutilation for children because they've been psyoped by their parents to think that they're the opposite gender.
Yeah, this was a real thing that was happening all the time. I'm glad that it's been destroyed. Yeah. Has Twitch changed his policy that allow white supremacy now? Yes. He spent about an hour and a fucking half on you because he was salty about that tweet. Oh, Asmongoy was salty? Mold Man was salty? He was mad? Yeah. Hey, I know you can't pay rent. And I know you will have to probably take on a second gig economy job from an American Silicon Valley tech firm. And you're never going to make ends meet. You're never going to have a family, but you're winning. You're winning so hard. Why? Because Donald Trump made it illegal for transgender athletes to participate in the NCAA. That's a pivotal accomplishment. You're winning super hard, dude. Okay, sure. It cost a fucking arm and a leg to keep up with your groceries and keep up with your bills, but you're winning. Why are you winning? Because we're owning the libtards. Okay? Also, it's perfectly cool and normal and valid to have to sign a document that says you will never disavow the beautiful nation state of Israel if you want to keep your job. It's good. I love signing loyalty pledges to Israel so I can be a school teacher in the state of Texas. Why would you ever say that that's strange? Excuse me? What are you, an anti-Semite?
EI has been all but destroyed. You've had all of the pride flags hanging off the White House replaced by muscle cars and fucking motorcycles. You have a UFC fight in front of the fucking White House that the president attends for his birthday.
His position is also my favorite type of guy because he's like, he has to maintain anti-Semitic conspiracies because he's like holding on to the Nick Fuentes audience. He'll be like, I'm a funnel for Nick Fuentes. But then he's both going to lean into anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, while simultaneously talking about how Israel is wonderful and should be considered our most loyal and most reliable ally. He has arrived at the absolute worst mathematical position you can arrive at, and it's fucking awesome. Where he's like, listen, this pariah state that is melting children with American munitions and American tax dollars, that's constantly fucking crying and saying it's literally the Holocaust if they can't blow up another Lebanese village, they're perfectly good. Okay? Please. They're good. Why are you even talking about how insane this situation is? Why are you even talking about the fact that all of our politicians across the board, regardless of whether they're Democrat or Republican, doesn't really matter, talk like they got a gun pointed to their head anytime someone calls into question this loyalty oath that they've seemingly all taken to the nation state of Israel, this, emotional support apartheid state that's doing numerous genocides, right? Why would you talk about that? Well, just stop talking about Israel, please.
You have had a cultural victory that is so massive and widespread that it's caused them to cancel entire TV shows because they're afraid of the backlash. You have completely destroyed them culturally.
Yeah, TV shows are better now. They hit so much harder.
And the only thing that they can do, they know they can't beat you. They know that you're winning. They know that the Chud, the year of the Chud, is so powerful, so they're trying to poison you by fixating on something that's not them. Stay focused. Stay focused, because
there's never been a moment in my life where I have maintained this position that like TV shows are woke now, so that means it's good, and that means we're fucking winning. As a matter of fact, during peak woke, many people might not have known this about me. I routinely railed against the quote unquote SJW messaging campaigns that hyper focused on television shows. And I said that this was a byproduct of, being powerless and recognizing your powerlessness, which is why you were choosing to have some semblance of control and some way of feeling as though you have, as though there is an avenue where people are responsive. An institution is being responsive to your needs. And it was usually during, it was just Hollywood, right? And I kept explaining to people that this was silly. And a lot of people would get mad at me for that. And I was like, no, the real power comes from actual political organizing, labor militancy, being able to claw back some of your own productive output that you are responsible for, having some autonomy in the workplace, or getting your wishes across to politicians. That is real political power. All this other stuff is bullshit, meant as a distraction to make you feel like you are, actually accomplishing something. Asmongold is now doing the other side of that. It's the reverse SJW. It's the anti-woke SJWs, the injustice, the social injustice warriors, okay? From the social justice warriors to the social injustice warriors, that's precisely what Asmongold's goals are here. Do not focus on material needs. Do not focus on making demands that will change your material reality. Focus on television shows that are now anti-woke. That's idiotic.
they're not done yet. They're not done, and there are still too many of those people in the problem. And I understand you have problems with Israel. But all I'm saying is that those problems should be dealt with after these. Stay on target. They want to distract you with Israel because they don't want you to look at them.
Yeah, no. Guys, please stop focusing on Israel. Please just focus on canceling television shows instead. And all your tax dollars going there. Focus on how manly TV shows are now instead. Just culture war. I think this is a rallying cry from individuals that understand that American politics is shifting and there's a lot more appetite for class war as opposed to culture war. That's what it is. Look at what the chatter was saying at the start, straight up Nazi. I don't know why. What is this? I don't know why it is that it's very common for Jew/Israel to be involved, but they very often are involved for immigrating the third world to destroy and infect Western and Christian culture. It's ironic because that's also, again, wrong and stupid. It is not Jews that are importing the third world or anything like that. Okay? There is no international Jewry. There is no organized monolithic Jewry. There is an organized Zionist movement, certainly, and it's not entirely comprised of Jews, ironically enough. There's a much larger number of Christian evangelical Zionists. Having said that, of course, are there pivotal figures in this movement that are Jewish? Abso-fucking-lutely. This guy's name is Klansman. Oh, my God. I like that Asmongold is trying to pull his deeply anti-Semitic audience off of this anti-Semitism cliff that they're on by saying, no, you don't understand. We get to do Nazi stuff. It's cool. Just lay off Israel, please. It's awesome. You're using big words you won't understand, man. Talk down at his level. Yeah. Okay. No group of individuals are a monolith. They don't all operate with the same fucking boundaries, with the same understanding of the world, with the same exact goals and same exact purpose. Okay. It's that simple. And Jews are no different. They're not like a super special secret lizard group of people. Okay. Any kind of idea, any kind of understanding, whether it be saying all white men are like this, or all white people are like this, or all Guatemalans are like this, is idiotic. We don't believe it. It's stupid. Okay. It's actually low IQ. It is low IQ to assume that an entire group of people operate with the same exact fucking goals, unless you're talking about self-interest and you're talking about class. Okay. And even then, obviously, the working class is not united. Nowhere near as united as the billionaire class or the owner class is. Okay. But there's an expression of self-interest. Go dumber. Okay. I don't know how else to go dumber. What am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to go dumber than that? Say it like this. No people, all same. I white, you dumb, I smart. Okay. That's good. Is that good? If I just grunt? Dumb. Ape together, strong. Ape together on class. Ape divided on culture. Do not divide on culture. Unite on class. All men are brothers. Is that better? Hopefully this gets through.
It's so.
But yeah. Asmongold begs. What is this? I made a present for Asmongold. Make sure.
And I know because
it.
I'm one of them.
Now, do you not get deplatformed through all this? I simply, I am a very pragmatic person. I have no problems not saying things or not doing something if I feel like it won't be advantageous for me. So I just simply don't say things that I think will get me in trouble, and until it's okay to say them. That's literally it. You're a good boy. Yeah, I like Nick doesn't do that. Nick says exactly what he thinks, and it's respectable. It is. I don't have any negative about it.
Sometimes you gotta be the villain. Epstein's my boy, dude. Let's just be honest. Epstein was cool as fuck. There, I said it. What are you gonna do? Go ahead, cancel me.
To me, I view my role as being a more mainstream ally towards this stuff without necessarily spearheading any sort of like real controversial change, because I can't really do that.
You niggas are not ready for that conversation, but Jeff Epstein, not a pedophile, but you're not ready for that conversation. All of his victims, 14 to 17. That's not pedophilia. But y'all niggas ain't ready for that conversation. People say that's normalizing pedophilia. No, that's defining pedophilia.
It would compromise my position. That's the reason. I'm a funnel. Yeah, I kind of do that. Yeah, like a funnel in a way. So that's the reason why I do most things that I do are like there's reasoning behind them. You have your Wayne for sure. Yeah, I do.
And then we got the white quarter zip, white Epstein quarter zip, causing a lot of consternation among the disabled, the dumb, the disabled, cognitively impaired. Epstein quarter zip. Let them know you fuck with Epstein. Yeah, we fuck with Epstein. I like people that aren't retarded. I like people that aren't hospitalized right now. I like people that don't lie that they're not Jewish when they really are.
He also said his mom used to watch your show before she passed.
Really?
Hands emoji.
Well,
that's true.
100
yeah, what a nice guy. Yeah, I appreciate it, Nick. And yeah, I remember, bro, like I remember walking in, my mom was listening to Nick, and this was like back in the day. This was like 2020, 2021, right? And so, yeah, she was in it. She was in on it on the ground floor. And
hey, properly aged, like wine. Women don't age like wine, they age like milk. They don't age like wine. That's not how their hormones work. That's not how they work. Yeah, I gotta find my 16-year-old wife.
What do you say? Oh, it's cool, man. Well, Asmon dad watched me, but yeah, these are the guys who are like Asmongold is not a particularly clever orator or a decent propagandist, because he's just like watering down shit that he sees on his Twitter timeline, right? He's just like basically rehashing tweets that he reads off of his timeline. He doesn't actually have I mean, he has right-wing opinions, obviously, that much is clear, but he doesn't have the capacity to push for these values on his own. All he can do is just like respond to stimuli. And that's the reason why he keeps going back and forth on the Israel stuff. Like one day he'll lean into anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, and then the next day he'll be like, you know, You know, while I do genuinely appreciate people like Nick Fuentes for all the bold advocacy that they're doing that I agree with, at the same time, we got to stop talking about this Israel stuff, right? And it's inconsistent. And as long as he keeps hitting the fuck Hassan line, as long as he keeps saying like, no, these wokes are actually ruining your life. Think about the culture war. Think about the culture war. As long as he hits those lines, then it's fine. Austin McNamara, also known as Gremlo, had an interesting take. Said Zach isn't nearly as articulate as his right-wing media peers or even the lib media talking heads, but all three apply the same aesthetic-focused approach. Neither UFC cage fights or pride flags of the White House materially improved anyone's lives. We have to break free from this cycle. And it's my point as well. A lot of this stuff is not actually improving your life in a meaningful manner. It's just making you feel like you are getting some kind of change that you desired. And that change can only be reflected on by owning your ideological opposition, right? Owning the libs or owning the cons. That's all people care about because they've completely given up on advocacy for healthcare, or they've completely given up on protesting for certain things and certain things like, ending American militarism and focusing on ourselves and maybe improving our infrastructure, improving broadband, improving access to the internet, improving our schools. We've given up on all of that. We can't do anything about that because capitalism is this unchangeable system that is impossible to tackle, impossible to chip away at. So all we give a shit about is owning our interlocutors. Oh, is Asmongold feeling owned because the titties in video games are smaller? Well, then, good. I feel better because I fucking hate that guy. Oh, is Hassan getting mad that trans people can no longer participate in competition? Good. That makes me feel good. That's literally all people have. And that is a big part of what these slop tubers do in terms of breaking the brains of the youth. Like the guy that we just got, the guy that just got clapped in the chat. Like, look at this. Like, look, what did he say? Hassan Diddy Piker, your asshole must be jealous of the amount of shit that comes out of it. You mean my asshole must be jealous of my mouth with the amount of shit that comes out of my mouth, right? Like you got so horny. You got so horny to write that up in the chat that you forgot a word in there. Let me do some copy editing for you so you can do it a little bit better. So this is what I mean. And the more people are testing the boundaries of their ideology in a moment like this, when I say something like, it's not all this culture war shit doesn't actually benefit your life at all. They're just duping you into focusing on this. They're duping you into believing that as long as, you're dominating trans people or migrants or whatever the fuck, they get to rob you blind. That moment is supposed to be a wake-up call for these people, right? But instead of doing that, immediately and reflexively, a lot of people will go, oh shit, instead of testing my priors, instead of reconsidering my worldview, which is tough and scary and difficult, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn around and attack the messenger. I can't tackle the message. I can't identify with the message. Deep down inside, the message that I'm hearing, if I'm capable of understanding what you're saying, is actually kind of penetrating my priors a little bit. And I don't want to fucking live in a world where I have to reconsider my stances. So instead, I'll reflexively attack, right? I'll push back. It's all culture war. It's all culture war. It's all, hopefully attacking the people that you feel have ruined your lives. We do it ourselves here as well to a certain degree. I try to focus my efforts back to the material, though, back to the realm of things that are actually important. Even when we talk about the culture war stuff, I'm still trying to bring home a broader point that, like, this streamer stuff, this streamer drama is simply a distraction. It's designed to keep you entertained, and it's also designed to make you feel like you're pushing for real political causes when you're not. Of course, on the right-wing side, because the right-wing forces are far more responsive to this culture war shit, they will actually advance this agenda. But at the end of the day, when they do advance this agenda, does that improve your life at all? And the unfortunate answer for you is no, it doesn't. You could deport every single migrant, throw every single undocumented and documented migrant in a concentration camp, and your life would not improve one bit. As a matter of fact, your life would be worse overall. But these guys have duped you into believing that that is your solution. That's your salvation. It's manipulation. And that's what I try to tell you all the time. That's not your salvation at all. Those guys, they lead virtually identical lives to you. The only difference is their immigration status is in limbo. They don't have the proper paperwork because the government refuses to give them the proper paperwork. Okay? Your parents were in a similar predicament at a certain point. If you live in the United States of America, the only advantage that you have, the only major difference between you and those guys that you think are your primary enemy is that they came at a time when America was much more forgiving and much more understanding because there was a need to have more working hands build these fucking roads and build these goddamn factories. So they were super open to allowing anyone and everyone to come in and process them with ease. That's what made America this behemoth. So all you're technically doing is kicking the ladder behind you after climbing it. And the irony, of course, is there's a million different ways and a million different reasons as to why these guys will tell you, these right-wing forces will tell you that these people are ruining your lives. They're not. They're not ruining your lives at all. But it's the act of punishment against them that this administration and even other previous administrations that came before the Trump administration, that act of punishment against them is what keeps you motivated. It's what makes you feel like the government is responsive to your needs. First, they create this desire within you by telling you over and over again that these guys are the migrants are the ones who are actually responsible for why you don't have a good job. As though if we deported every single migrant on U.S. soil, all of a sudden you would go fucking toil the land or you know, pick the crops or something, and then you would actually be able to pick the crops not for pennies on the dollar, but instead for, you know, $100,000, $200,000 a year, doing backbreaking labor for at that price point, at those wages. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And the argument here isn't, you know, take advantage of the slave labor of migrant workers. That's not my argument at all. You have to fight to make sure that those guys get the proper documentation and can be a part of a larger labor union and organize on the boundaries of class alongside yourselves so that they and you can get a larger piece of the fucking pie that you are baking. Okay? That's it. But that is too difficult a concept for many to broach. It's too difficult for people to understand. It's much easier to say, no, it's actually the brown guy that's the, you know, scary brown guy that's stealing your job. Scary brown guy stealing your job. That's the reason why you don't have a good enough job. That's the reason why you went to college if you did. And now you have to, you know, deliver Uber delivery to other people. And have no financial security whatsoever. Those guys are all criminals. And we got to destroy them. Anyway. Yeah, people always say, well, my family came here legally, but most of those people's ancestors came here before immigration law really even existed. People mostly just showed up and had their name written down until 1924, which is what the most undocumented people have done today. Immigrants are the same. It's just the goalposts that have moved. Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason for it, too. This entire process is no longer as just or as efficient by design, because there's always a healthy flow of migrant workers that will come to the United States of America, that will work for pennies on the fucking dollar to make ends meet, to work in like slave-like conditions, because they're desperate. Why are they desperate? Because we've destroyed their countries. We've manipulated with their finances. We've destroyed their economy. We've extracted their natural resources. We've kept them down and underdeveloped by design to also create this chaos, to manufacture this chaos in their countries. And then they're desperate enough to come here, and we don't actually allow them to get the proper clearance and the proper paperwork, even though we know that they're coming in. We're letting them come in so that our bosses, our capital owners, can justify paying them nothing. And if they ever actually organize and demand back pay, for example, or complain about being raped on the assembly line, then those bosses will call ICE on those same workers and replace them overnight. It's a racket. That's why the system is designed that way. The only long-standing proper solution to this problem is not to try and fucking mass deport all undocumented migrants, because that's never going to happen, because this is a capitalist system anyway. And the question also always remains, would that even be beneficial for you? If this was a white-only capitalist dystopia, do you think your life would be fundamentally better? Anyone that tells you that it will be is lying to you. Okay? Anyone that tells you that your problems would be solved if we deported every single black and brown person is lying to you. It's the same exact concept behind libertarians fantasizing about an anarcho-capitalist utopia or a dystopia, right? Dog, you're doing delivery driving right now. What makes you think that if all of the protections, if all the guardrails or the limited amounts of guardrails that currently exist that make sure that these factories can't continuously poison your water supply, for example, or basically enslave you at gunpoint, only come close to doing that, what makes you think those guys are not going to further enslave you when there's no guardrails let remain? What makes you think that if you are just an Uber delivery driver or an Amazon delivery driver right now, if it was chaos, if it was bedlam, that you would somehow become a king? If you're a peasant in this system, what makes you think you will be a king in that system? No, you're just going to be a peasant in an even worse set of circumstances. And we're living through it right now. We're living through that period of change right now. And some people unironically advocate for that change, not realizing that they would be worse off. And it's interesting because it's the very same gods, the demigods, the capital owning class, that are advancing this idea that, migrants are really fucking bad, actually, and you should hate them. They're destroying your lives. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm just a trillionaire. I didn't actually set this system up. Don't look at me. I'm not responsible. Look over there. Look how scary that black guy is. Look how scary that brown guy is. They have the exact same interests as you. They're just fucked over more than you are. But please focus on that guy. Don't focus on me. I'm just a trillionaire. I'm creating prosperity. I'm creating jobs. That's it. Yeah, that foreigner stole your cookie. And he's rehashing the age-old anti-Islamophobia. I'm just criticizing religion nachos right here. He's reheating them. Let's see. The Islamophobic hate crime that took place in was it Edinburgh?
Because anyway, so Islamophobia is a made-up word that's used to silence.
All words are made up, big dog. That's just kind of how words work. That's what it is. Yeah. Islamophobia is a made-up word to silence critics of Muslims. Really? We're having a theological debate about Islam? I didn't realize that was what was going on. When you said, yeah, Muslims are across the board responsible for like mass rapes of white English women, and therefore I have no sympathy for a bunch of random Muslims getting stabbed by a psychopath. I didn't realize that was actually a theological debate. Why do you even try? Why do you even try to do this? Why do you even try to make it seem like you have some kind of sincere disagreement that you've put a lot of thought into, and that all you're doing in this circumstance is simply criticizing the religion? You know, are you having a conversation about the Sunni Shia split? The different versions of Shia Islam and the different versions of governance? Is that the argument? Is this the big theological debate? No. You just want to justify people killing random Muslim people or attempting to do so by constantly claiming that Muslims are scary. They're this monolithic Islam. Roach is an Alevite. Yeah, that's what he
criticism of Islam. It's not a real word. Obviously, you should be able to be critical of any religion. It's not a phobia to be afraid of a
Yeah, dude. I don't agree with that. I don't disagree with that assessment. Okay. Yes, you can criticize whatever fucking religion you want to. I don't give a shit. I do it all the time. Okay. It's when you assume that the followers of a particular faith are all bad. That's what I have an issue with. That's what I have a disagreement with. And you intrinsically understand that for Jews, by the way, and you understand that for Christianity, by the way, or at least you claim to understand it for these different groups, but you can't understand it for Islam. Okay? There's a difference between criticism and prejudice or hatred. Okay? Like, we're not having a sincere conversation about the tenets of Islam, or which is, by the way, totally personal too. It's not like these guidelines are held to the same standard unconditionally across the board, across billions of people that believe this religion. I mean, I myself grew up in a Muslim household. I grew up in a Muslim country. I don't believe the same things that other neighbors of mine believe, right? I mean, I don't believe in many of the same things. So clearly it's completely up to the individual how they interpret their own faith.
Religion. It's not a phobia to disagree with what a religion teaches. That's not a phobia. That's an idea. That's a disagreement. So you trying to reframe people that don't like a religion as some kind of phobia like homophobia or racism is just inaccurate. Islam is a collective.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you also don't believe in homophobia and transphobia either. I've heard Asmongold and many others make the exact same argument. I'm not afraid of trans people. I just think they're fucking weird. I'm not afraid. It's just, it's the dumbest argument of all time. It's like, it reminds me of when people say like, oh, well, Semitic people, Arabs are Semitic people too. It's like, dude, that's not how language works. Okay. All of this shit is made up, and we collectively identify and associate certain words with certain groups. It's just, I'm not trying to have a conversation about etymology here. Okay. It is an incredibly pedantic, incredibly stupid argument to make. Oh, Islamophobia. Phobia means fear. I am not fearful of Islam. I'm just critical of Islam. Jesus Christ, dude.
Collection of ideas. Disagreeing with that collection of ideas is not in any way, shape, or form a unique thing or a problem at all. Disagreeing with ideas is what Western...
Yeah, the dumbest guy you know that delivers pizzas is looking at this and going, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. That's base, dude. Can Amat and Bailey be disarming? I mean, this is what it is. Yeah, Islamophobia is a made-up word, has been the #1 way that Sam Harris and all these other fucking idiots will argue to defend their idiotic worldview, their idiotic and cowardly worldview that is actively trying to foment hatred towards all Muslims, billions of them, and to get you to believe that, like, people who believe in different things than you do, that are not all that different, are actually your enemy.
Civilization is built on, and words like Islamophobia work to subvert Western civilization by making certain ideas and groups of ideas off limits. So this is just not true. It's fake.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah, no. The criticism, remember, the criticism I had here was, hey, it's kind of fucked up that you're justifying a hate crime that took place against random Muslim people, like tying random Muslim people to the perceived crimes that you think all Muslims are committing. That's just fucking idiotic. That's just unbelievably racist. And this guy's like, no, it's just a valid critique of Islam. Really? That's insane. Anyway, all this is a way to try and justify your point of view in the most cowardly manner possible. Yeah, I wanna just get away scot-free by saying all Muslims are rapist pedophiles and you should be able to do hate crimes to them. And if someone actually calls that shit out, then it's like, oh, I'm just critical of Islam, dude. I'm just critical of Islam. Anyway, let's get back to Bergenstock. U.S.-Iran talks are underway in Switzerland with the mediation of Pakistan and Qatar.
At this point in time, with the fullest sincerity at my domain, thank President Donald Trump for his visionary and very dynamic.
I mean, he's throwing them shits on, bro. I can't get over. Fuck. Sorry. I know he's not great. Okay. He's not. I don't like him. Like, politically, I'm not on board. Okay. But goddamn, his suit game is so fucking excellent.
Leadership, which has resulted in this meeting here today in beautiful city of Bergenstock. And I think here we are going to have wonderful discussions which will lead to hopefully very productive results in times to come. I'd like to thank Vice President Jerry Vance for his very able leadership, leading United States team, and my very dear brother, Prime Minister of Qatar. He's like a very real and dear brother. And of course, Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir, his outstanding role, very consistent, and he showed huge amount of perseverance and patience. And I think together, all these efforts have culminated here in this wonderful Schönes-Bergen. And it's really very wonderful to be here. And hopefully when we go back to our homes, we'll have some wonderful paper in our hand, which will both promote peace, progress, and prosperity around the globe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vice President, would like to say a few words?
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Wonderful.
Well, I'll say just a few words here. And first of all, I have some notes of appreciation. First of all,
Jared Kushner looks like he's out of a nightmare in the background. Look at him. Looking like freaking Slender Man up in here.
I want to thank the President of the United States, who sends his best to all the great leaders assembled here, because he's empowered us to find a diplomatic resolution to a host of issues that matter to the American people, but I think the world. The opening of the Strait of Hormuz, the ending of the Iranian nuclear program, all of these things have already been accomplished. The question before us now is how much more can we accomplish together? Can we turn over a new leaf? Can we change relations in the Middle East permanently? Or do we go back to doing things?
All of these are just empty speeches. They're all so hollow. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. I can't stress this enough. This doesn't mean anything. Especially because it like if they don't restrain Israel, it's utterly meaningless. Unless the Iranian side actually caves on that, by the way. And I hope they don't, because it's good for the rest of the world. It's good for America. What race is he today? JD Vance? I think he's still a hillbilly. He's a hick. He's a hillbilly. That's just his race all the time. He wrote a whole book about it.
The old way, which is not our preference, but is certainly very much something that can happen. I have a few other notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a dear friend of the President's, a dear friend of mine, a guy who has been with his leadership and his very careful and skilled negotiation has got us to this point. To his Field Marshal in Pakistan, Asim Munir, I will say that since Field Marshal Munir welcomed us with the Prime Minister in Islamabad, I have joked that I have two very, very important people in my life, an Indian and a Pakistani. The Indian is my wife, and the Pakistani is Field Marshal Munir.
Am I crazy, or every time he like tries to talk about this stuff, it's like not only cringe but also weirdly racist? He's like, I got two of the most important people in my life. One's an Indian, one's Pakistani. It's just odd. It's odd. It's odd to say it like that. He tried to be woke. He's too much of a faillennial. He's always doing this.
And I've probably talked to Field Marshal Munir more than I've talked to anybody else over the last 3 months. Would not be here without his statesmanship. He is, of course, a great military leader, but I think he's shown himself to be a great diplomat. And, of course, who's an amazing friend of the United States of America, but has been also an important part of getting us to this point. I think it's important for the American people, but people all over the world to appreciate that what's brought us to this moment is the president's leadership and the president's willingness to see a Middle East that is much different 10 years from now than it was 10 years ago. And what we're trying to accomplish here is something very simple. Through diplomacy, through working together to transform the Middle East, where Iran and the Gulf have been at war with each other, or at least have had very unfriendly relations, where Iran has been a driver of regional instability. Now we see a future where everybody can work together to promote peace and prosperity for everyone. What we've already seen back home in the United States is lower gas prices. We've seen the free flow of oil and gas. We've seen peace. And now we're trying to build on that to see if we can build something even better and more sustainable for the future. This is a historic meeting. Never before, outside of Islamabad and here, so outside the last few months, never before has the Iranian and American leadership met at such a high level. What the president has asked us to do is turn over a new leaf, to transform our relationship with the people of Iran and to extend an outstretched hand that says to the people of Iran that if your leadership is willing to give up being a driver of regional instability, if they are willing to give up nuclear weapons ambitions for the long term, then the United States is willing to fundamentally transform our relationship with that country. That is certainly our goal. We've already made great progress over just the last few hours, and I expect that we'll make additional progress in the hours to come. Thank you all.
First of all, I would like to welcome you here, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Prime Minister, your leadership and Field Marshal leadership actually initiating that process. That's what brought us here today. I think that every one of you has highlighted how important is this meeting, how historic is that event, and how significant is that agreement, not only on the security of the region, but also for the security of the world and for the global economy. What we have done and what we have achieved, we wouldn't achieve it without the dedication and the hard work that was done by you, Mr. Vice President, and Mr. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Prime Minister and Field Marshal, and also on the Iranian side, Dr. Ghalibaf and Dr. Araqji. I would like to thank all of you for your leadership and determination that put us in this room, and this is not really the main celebration. Our celebration when we reach the ultimate agreement. Hopefully this is just the beginning, and I wish everyone all the best. Qatar will stay dedicated to this partnership to support these mediations until the end, until we reach a solution. We will always be a partner in bringing more peace, prosperity, and hopefully better future for our region. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sheikh. So, guys, we'll take just a couple of questions, and then we're going to have to kick out the media and get started with the hard work. Go ahead.
Do you have a message for Prime Minister Netanyahu with regards to Israel's military operations in Lebanon?
Well, first of all, we've seen great progress over the last just couple of days in ensuring that the ceasefire holds in Lebanon. These things are always a little bit messy. If you go back to how much was happening 3 months ago and compare it to 3 weeks ago, great progress has been made. If you go back to 3 weeks ago to 3 days ago, additional progress has been made. The president has committed us to see a full regional ceasefire. We found great partners in working with the Qatar.
Belgium got a red card. All right, we got to get VAR on there. We got to get Israel involved again. That's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic to give Belgium a red card and to give an advantage to Iran.
The Pakistanis, our friends in Israel, we're all working towards regional peace. There, of course, are going to be sometimes disagreements about precisely how to get there, but I actually feel great about where we are in Lebanon. There's still some additional wood to chop, but we're going to keep on working at it. I know you had a question over here.
As your alignment, Israel has something like genocide in Lebanon. The main issue is stopping this.
Well, ma'am, I think that the President of the United States and the United States of America have done more to stop the conflict in Lebanon than any government anywhere in the world over the last...
except for Iran. One reservoir for every VAR offsite call. Explosion at Ras Laffan facility in Qatar. America's proven the damn bombs and providing the damn bombs and targeting info for Israel. In Lebanon, probably not. I assume that, I mean, they probably are. I mean, there's so much involvement. The Israeli military and the American military are already, hand in glove in the way that they operate. But, like, we are definitely giving the weapons. We are definitely giving them the weapons. You're also taking away a little bit of the responsibility from the Royal Air Force, okay? The British Royal Air Force and the Navy. And how much their drones are aiding and abetting in the targeting of the Lebanese villages. Keir Starmer would be very disappointed in you for refusing to acknowledge the war crimes that the UK is contributing to.
Few months, and we're going to keep on working towards it. As I think a lot of you appreciate, peace is never easy. Peace always requires a little bit of work. It always requires a little bit of give and take. But the President of the United States is committed not just to peace between the United States and Iran. The President is committed to a regional peace, which is why we're here working so hard to settle our issues. The one last comment I want to make is what today really represents is the beginning of a technical negotiation that's not going to solve every disagreement, but is going to allow us to sit together as teams for the first time really in history to figure out what matters most to the respective parties, to settle those issues, to solve those issues, and get to a better tomorrow. The reason why the political leadership of the respective countries is here is because we wanted to, first of all, set up the structure for these technical negotiations, and second of all, make sure that our teams have our full support.
Bro, why does the microphone only stop working when JD's holding it? What's happening?
And know they can always call on us to break through any barriers. We got a lot of work to do. We're excited to do it. Thank you all for being here.
So there were some funny moments from this back and forth. Obviously, one of them was, first of all, Tehran has hardened its stance on U.S.-led talks in Switzerland, declaring that the Iranian delegation will not return to the table until President Trump apologizes for recent threats. Because while this was going on, Donald Trump called Trey Yingst over at Fox News and basically told him that the U.S. will resume attacks if Iran does not restrain Hezbollah allies, shifting the blame and responsibility in the ongoing crisis in Lebanon over to the Iranian side and the Iranian proxies within Hezbollah, who are once again, and I need to stress this, defending their homeland. Okay? Hezbollah is entirely comprised of the Lebanese population, mostly the Shia Muslim population of Lebanon, but the Lebanese population nonetheless. And what they're doing in Lebanon is actually trying to defend their homeland and their territorial sovereignty, their territorial integrity. Because Israel is currently occupying 20% of Lebanese territory illegally, and they're trying to move in further into Lebanese territory. So they're totally just, as long as Israel does not retreat, they're totally just in lasering Israeli occupying forces, officials and soldiers and whatnot, just so we're clear. And a part of the memorandum of understanding is to stop Israel from taking further Lebanese territory and retreat, to get the United States to demand that Israel retreat from Lebanon. Okay? President Trump, with his statements to Trey Yingst, is in violation of the Memorandum of Understanding's first clause, as DropSite reports. President Trump today appeared to violate Clause 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding he signed with Iran at Versailles last week, which commits both sides to refrain from the threat of use or force against one another. In a Fox News interview, he threatened to take over the rest of the country of Iran, warned Iran it won't have a country if it closes the Strait of Hormuz, and said Iranian officials won't even make it back to your effing country if they close the strait. The Strait of Hormuz, nevertheless, remains closed for a second day. And the clause that we're talking about, the first clause, perhaps the most significant, most important clause of the Memorandum of Understanding, specifically wrote out, Trump signed this, that there would be refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. Okay? Just so you understand. Now, let's take a look at what Trump did earlier today while the talks were beginning in Switzerland.
Tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said,
the dumbest guy you know heard this, didn't realize that this implies he's paying $20 extra at the gas pump, and said, wow, beast mode. Okay? The dumbest guy you know heard Trump say this and went, dude, he's really telling it like it is to these fucking mullahs, huh? Not a clue, not a thought in his mind, not a unique or independent thought in his mind about why he was paying $40 extra at the gas pump these past 100 days. Okay? It's like, hell yeah, brother. He's gonna activate the military in ways that he hasn't in the last 100 days.
this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also...
Remember, 2 days or 3 days prior to this, when he was signing the Memorandum of Understanding, he openly admitted that if this continued for another week or 4 more weeks or 5 more weeks, that there would be complete economic collapse around the globe. That's what Donald Trump said when asked why he was signing this unbelievably favorable deal for the Iranian side. What did Trump say? In a moment of honesty, only Trump can commit to, by the way. No other president will ever be that brutally honest. What did he say? He said, if this went on for another month, the entire energy markets would collapse. Okay? So just remember that.
So reacting to that, take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment, and they too will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this, it has no right to do that.
President Trump
during our call, responded directly to those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country. And so clearly the president reacting directly to these comments from Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian. And also President Trump talked about the broader memorandum of understanding, indicating this is just a ceasefire extension. This is not the final deal with the Iranian regime. And the president says he holds the cards and maintains a variety of options if the Iranians don't make these serious commitments at the negotiating table. He said, I have a 60-day option, and I can do whatever I want after that option. So again, President Trump leaving a variety of considerations.
Let's take a look at what he was saying last week.
Get bad press, I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing I can do. But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid, it's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are, ask them why didn't they blow up General Soleimani? Ask that of the general and a couple of other people that I like very much, but boy, are they wrong. Go ahead.
Galabaf's advisor says, in the Swiss negotiations, Iran's negotiating team is focused seriously and uncompromisingly on realizing the 5 conditions. The team's main priority is the issue of a complete ceasefire in Lebanon and the regime's withdrawal. Iran believes that America violated the agreement in Lebanon from the very first hour. The issue of suspending oil sanctions and releasing Iran's frozen assets is also on the table. Following the escalation on the Lebanese front, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed since yesterday through the efforts of the Iranian team. The pressure regarding the Lebanon issue and the closure of the strait, coinciding with the negotiations, has intensely angered the American team, especially Trump. Additionally, Iran has not allowed any discussions on the nuclear issue in the negotiations. Trump's remarks today were an attempt to prevent further humiliation in the talks. The immediate response from the head of Iran's negotiating delegation to Trump's threat and the Iranian team's departure from the negotiation site has put America in a difficult position. The negotiations are ongoing. So that's the reality. It doesn't matter what Trump says. That's still the reality. And if you want to see the timeline, Midas Touch, shouts out to Midas Touch. They have a timeline. Okay. They have on March 9th, on April 1st, and then on June 17th. Here are the different things that Trump has said so far. Let's take a look.
So much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We're now totally independent of the Middle East, and yet we are there to help. We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have. I'm going to get bad press. I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing I can do. But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid, it's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are.
Yeah. Cooked. So let's get back to the fun.
Is in Washington, D.C. Patty, the U.S. president, I mean, I know it's earlier in the day where you are, U.S. time. The U.S. president has been writing and speaking about what's happening here and about Iran. What did he say?
He has, and it's a complete juxtaposition from what we heard from his vice president, J.D. Vance, when he was speaking before the cameras. And really unprecedented, talking about remaking the Middle East. It was conciliatory, it was hopeful, but then we get this post on social media from Donald Trump, and he wrote, Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week. only harder. And that, again, is a different tone from even the U.S. president in the last couple of days. He has been very critical of Israel, telling them that they're being overly violent, saying you don't have to take down an entire apartment building just to go after one person. So the president sending the message that Iran is to blame.
By the way, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius blames President Trump for the Strait of Hormuz closure. Oh, no. Once they got a crumb of peace, even the European allies are like, all right, dude, what are you doing? And Trump's not going to like that. He's going to want to shift the blame over to possibly Israel. Okay? Yo, you were right. Ducks are dying at the Trump pool. Photo of a baby dead duck floats in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool after recent renovations. I told you this. I told you that this was going to happen. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people, the People's Broadcasting Service, ladies and gentlemen, for tomorrow's news today. Yes, sometimes unbelievably sad news that were very predictable, and yet no one predicted them. Let's continue.
Where the vice president had exactly the opposite. So definitely
why didn't
different
you stop it? It's impossible. These events are always going to happen.
Messages coming from the two most powerful people in the Trump administration.
And Patty, so that's the president who's in the U.S., of course. He's not here in Switzerland. He's not taking, he might be taking an active part in the negotiation remotely. We've seen that happen in the past, but he's not physically present here. His vice president is leading the U.S. delegation here. What can you tell us about the U.S. delegation here, what they want?
Well, we heard from the vice president, who is obviously in the lead, along with Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and envoy, and Steve Witkoff, his special envoy. We're not clear exactly what the backbenches, the technical teams. Obviously, when you're talking about nuclear weapons, nuclear enrichment, you need scientists. So we haven't gotten any sense or any readout from the Trump administration as to who else is there. But obviously, the three that I just mentioned taking the lead role. And we heard from the vice president, even before he got on the plane, saying that the biggest issues that he wanted to focus on is Lebanon, which obviously is the #1 issue for the Iranians, and also the nuclear talks. And that is where there's been a bit of confusion in the United States. J.D. Vance has been going to pretty much all the media outlets trying to sell this deal, and he keeps telling people that the U.S. is going to get the enriched uranium from Iran, but the agreement calls for them to dilute it inside Iran with the supervision of the IAEA. So when he says he wants to tackle the nuclear issue, it's not quite clear if what he's telling the media is what he's going to try and get, or what's in the agreement is what they're going to focus on.
The top of the hour. Good morning to those of you just joining us.
Yeah, you won't have a country. Trump fires back at Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. These guys are awesome. Like, obviously there's some wires being crossed here. On the one hand, they clearly have to always defend Donald Trump. But last week Donald Trump was saying mean things about Israel and also going against Israel's interests, and these guys also have to obviously defend Israel. So now hopefully they can bring this back to a place where Trump's goals and Israel's goals are aligned in destroying the memorandum of understanding.
It is 9 a.m. on June 21st. This is Fox and Friends. Just moments ago, Vice President J.D. Vance meeting with leaders from Qatar and Pakistan in Lucerne, Switzerland, as peace talks are underway. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with some breaking news and reaction. Hi, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also reacting to that. Take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment. And they, too, will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this. It has no right to do that.
President Trump, during our call, responded directly to those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his...
They can't send Trey out of Tel Aviv. I know you're thinking, like, why is Trey not in Switzerland? He's their top foreign correspondent, but his ass is just sewed. His ass is tied to Tel Aviv. Like, they've strapped him to Tel Aviv. He can't leave.
Mouth, he better shape up or we'll take over the rest of
Tel
the
Aviv
country.
Trey.
And so clearly the president reacting directly to these comments from Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian. And also President Trump talked about the broader memorandum of understanding, indicating this is just a ceasefire extension. This is not the final deal with the Iranian regime. And the president says he holds the cards and maintains a variety of options if the Iranians don't make these serious commitments at the negotiating table.
He also only has black T-shirts because he came in with a tiny piece of luggage. He thought he was going to be there for like a week. And now they basically strapped him onto that chair. So he has to wear the same T-shirt over and over again. You guys don't understand. This is a man who is tormented and tortured.
He said, I have a 60-day option, and I can do whatever I want after that option. So again, President Trump leaving a variety of considerations on the table and says that the United States could become the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and collect tolls itself while taking oil. Around 20%, the president says. As it relates to oil, President Trump also said that 19 million barrels of crude oil exited the Persian Gulf yesterday as a result of this memorandum of understanding with the Iranians. Guys?
So, Trey, as always, a fascinating report and fascinating interview you just had with President Trump. When he says something like the United States will be the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and that the United States reserves the option of taking 20% of the oil that passes through there, is that a message as much to Iran as it is to other world leaders around the globe that you need to participate in this and help us make sure that the Strait remains open to the free passage of oil?
Yeah, absolutely. Because remember, during Operation Epic Fury, President Trump called on these other countries to get involved because the United States uses just a few percentage points of its oil that actually comes out of the Persian Gulf. And these other countries didn't want to get directly involved in securing this critical international waterway. It was only after the fact that they actually were offering to help and send military reinforcements.
With what military capabilities? Can someone explain this to me? With what military capabilities? And if America had this capacity, why did they not do it? Did they just simply choose not to do it out of the kindness of their hearts? Why is there currently a ceasefire negotiation taking place? And it's not just Iran. Begging allow America to give them access to their own territorial waterway that they currently control. It just doesn't make any sense. When Trump is like, oh, dude, we'll take it. We'll take it by force this time. It's like, well, why didn't you do it last time? Why didn't you do it for the last 100 days?
It was the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy specifically, that put that significant...
Trump has done such a great job with the reflecting pool. He's getting ready to manage a larger body of water, also green or blue, American flag blue.
Significant economic pressure on the Iranian regime by closing Iranian ports. They were losing hundreds of millions of dollars every day. And again, this is what they consider their leverage because they lost so much on the battlefield. They are looking again to the Strait of Hormuz. And that is why you heard that statement from Iran's IRGC.
The Strait of Hormuz is the battlefield. Okay? It's the only battlefield that matters. That's it. The only reason why this MOU is being signed, the only reason why there's a actual conversation taking place about like Iranian needs, Iranian demands, is because of the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think anybody misunderstands the situation. Trump certainly doesn't. He signed the treaty.
See overnight, threatening to close the strait in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah and Lebanon. And again, President Trump tells Fox News he told Iranian officials directly, you close it and you won't have a country. Now, I also asked the president about the situation in southern Lebanon and the exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah. Remember, 5 IDF soldiers were killed over the weekend by Hezbollah. The Israelis responded with a series of airstrikes across southern Lebanon. The president told me he is disappointed Israel can't put Hezbollah away. He went on to say they can't do anything without knocking buildings down, and that he is close to giving it to Syria. And he is talking about empowering Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara to actually go into southern Lebanon and fight Hezbollah, because the president believes that he would do a more precise job in terms of the way he would deal with Hezbollah, not knocking down buildings, but fighting them on the ground. And so, again, the president expressed what we had heard from President Trump just a week ago, his frustration, or better put, his disappointment with the Israelis and the way that they are fighting Hezbollah. Remember, 5 IDF soldiers were killed over the weekend by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
Right.
But again, when we zoom out here, there's a lot on the table.
Yeah.
And the president also spoke about the situation in Gaza. He said at this moment, Hamas is not causing a lot of problems in Gaza, and that the process needs to play out with the ceasefire agreement there, and that he says the focus should be on the agreement with Iran.
I think Israel, whenever Israel feels pressured, or whenever Israel feels like they're on the back foot, what do? They hurt one of the more vulnerable populations that it currently dominates. Okay? And obviously, the most unguarded population, as it stands currently, is the Palestinians in Gaza. I think this is also a mistake. Israel, by way of Kojat, denying aid to enter the Gaza Strip, Israel taking over more territory in the Gaza Strip in violation of the other ceasefire, is going to backfire on them. It's going to put Gaza back in the forefront of the conversation. And considering the amount of leverage that Iran has, and considering the amount of goodwill that they gain from keeping Lebanon in the conversation as a point of contention, like Israel's violations of the MOU in Lebanon as a major point of contention, is actually causing the rest of the world to look at Iran more favorably, because they don't give a shit about Israel's territorial ambitions. They want the pain to stop. They want the bleeding to stop. They want the energy markets to return to normal. They understand the possible economic calamity that will take place if the Gulf is restricted, if the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked by the Iranian Navy. So for them, this is a wonderful trade-off. Okay, we get to restrain Israel. We get to sit back and watch America restrain Israel. And then in exchange for that, oil tankers can cross through the Strait of Hormuz. Fantastic. So if Israel continues pushing in Gaza, then the conversation will expand into Gaza as well. It won't just be Lebanon, it'll be Gaza too. So I think that they're biting off more than they can chew once again, and reminding the world that they're still dominating the Palestinians in Gaza, because they have never stopped.
Because once Iran is taken care of, many of these other issues will fall into place. Guys?
Yeah, the president, based on what you're telling me, clearly sending a very strong message to Israel saying it's too brutal the way you're handling it. I think an al-Qaeda guy can do it better, more precisely than you. Not a good look for Israel, for sure, in this. We had on the president earlier, Herzog from Israel, who spoke with Griff, and he said he promised that they had no territorial ambitions in Lebanon, or specifically in southern Lebanon, which would indicate that when this is over, they're going to return the land back to the Lebanese who have been displaced there. Now, we just saw J.D. Vance very diplomatically handling things in Lucerne, Switzerland, and then your conversation with the president, a lot more aggressive. Is this a case of good cop, bad cop?
I would say that the president is looking at the reality on the ground. And when the Iranians are making statements about closing the Strait of Hormuz, first of all, we know that that's propaganda because international shipping data indicates that many vessels are still passing through the Strait of Hormuz, this critical waterway. But the president clearly, he told Fox News, wanted to send a direct message to Iranian officials, even telling those officials, you won't even make it back to your country if you close the Strait of Hormuz. I think it's also important to note the fact that so much oil actually made it out yesterday, 19 million barrels, according to President Trump. That's a very significant number and an indication that there are still vessels leaving the Persian Gulf. And this is not talking specifically about Iranian ports. We're talking about these Gulf countries, allies of the United States. And the president said there was such a backlog of oil that it's now gushing out of the Persian Gulf. And you think about just how still things were in this region, and now that it is open again.
Yeah, it's only 55 tankers that have passed through. I assume that in order to keep up with the demand, the number would probably be higher than 100, because under normal circumstances, it'd be 100, right? So the fact that it hasn't even gotten to pre-Epstein's Fury levels and beyond, which is what it's supposed to be at, then, you know, Iran has successfully stopped at least some of the ships from crossing. And I think today, since they said that they would close the Strait of Hormuz again, I don't think any ships have passed today. CEO of Iran's national oil company, since last Monday, our ships have passed 25 million barrels of oil through the previous U.S. blockade line. The Iranian ships that passed through initial the signage of the Memorandum of Understanding. Iran's goalie was the real blockade. Oh, did the game end in a tie? They stole that goal from them. It's messed up. They called it offside in the VAR and stole it.
These vessels can actually export this oil. But I think really an important point here is what the president is leaving on the table as it relates to the Strait of Hormuz. He says, we may take over the strait if we have to. I'll blow the S out of them. And he is talking about the fact that if the Iranians try to close the Strait of Hormuz, not only will the U.S. open the strait, they'll take control of the strait and be the guardian angels of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East, and then ultimately take a percentage of the oil that is passing through. And again, this is an indication that President Trump is signaling to the Iranians that are currently at the table in Switzerland, make these concessions about your nuclear program, adhere to the Memorandum of Understanding, or there would be serious consequences that would actually reverse what they are trying to do, saying that if they don't make a deal, we'll collect tolls, the United States of America.
Right, but let me drill, Trey, quickly into exactly what Rachel is talking about, the look of a good cop, bad cop, because when Iran's president, Pezeshkian, said that Iran will maintain the right to enrich uranium, it flies in the face of the entire goal that Vice President Vance just laid out on camera at historic, first time ever in history, Iran and the U.S. meeting at a high level, and Vance saying that if Iran will abandon their nuclear ambition, then they will receive a fundamentally different relationship with the U.S. Does President Trump even have a, he pretty much has to tell the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, that he should watch his mouth because he's threatening to derail this on the eve of it actually happening.
I mean, there's only one country that he should be restraining here, and it is not Iran, it is Israel. But of course, you're never going to hear that on Fox News. As ship positions in the Strait, vessels continued to enter and exit the Middle East Gulf on June 20th. Data from Lloyd's List intelligence shows, despite Iran claiming it was closed the Strait, traffic was seen moving with AIS on via the northern route and also the southern route for the first time in weeks. What about today is the real question. Because this is yesterday when they first claimed that they were going to close the Strait of Hormuz. They might not have until today. But even then, I don't know. So I'm really new here. So I'm not really here a lot. So does bro just go over the news? Yes. I deliver to you tomorrow's news today. Broadcasting service, the People's Broadcasting Service, sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. If you'd like to support independent media, if you'd like to get a better understanding of what's going on currently, if you'd like to get a better understanding of what's going to happen tomorrow, you can subscribe. It's perfectly voluntary. There will not be any, there's not going to be ads on top of that. The People's Broadcasting Service. And also at PBS, if we arrive at a hype train and get it to level 10 hype train, then we carry the flame every day. It's a fun little game that we play, but it's not really a game, is it? As a matter of fact, the hype train is incoming currently, so we have a unique opportunity to carry the level 10 on the hype train. So please subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service, for you, the people, by you, the people. Thank you. Hype train. We will carry the Kirkian flame today. For example, if you were tuning in to the People's Broadcasting Service, PBS, since day 2 of Operation Epic Fury, Operation Epstein's Fury, you would have a good understanding of exactly what was going on, as most of mainstream outlets kept repeatedly telling you over and over again that America was pummeling Iran and that Iran was in a dire situation. There was one broadcaster, PBS, People's Broadcasting Service, Piker Broadcasting Service, that said that's not the case. Iran is actually pushing our shit in. 100 days later now, the entire world is forced to arrive at that conclusion. And I kept saying it over and over again. And everybody yelled at me and everybody said, Hassan, you're wrong. Before we started blowing up Iran, I said over and over again that Israel's goals here are to destroy Iran. There's no regime change happening. That's not their actual goal. And we shouldn't even have a say in this regardless. People said, Hassan, why don't you care about the plight of the Iranian people? Well, that was a justification for you to get on board with the death and destruction campaign in Iran. And some people were played a fool. Many of you argued with me. One of those people actually was Asmongold. Remember Asmongold's tweet from the Iranian uprisings that were taking place? He was like, oh, finally, we will deliver peace, prosperity, and freedom to the people of Iran. Like, he gives a shit. You must ask yourself, news report on the news accurately. What's the purpose? Fox News is never going to report on the news accurately because they're unbelievably biased. It's a mouthpiece for the state. It's a propagandist for not only the American state, but for the Israeli one as well. Midwestern Mom Fedian, thank you for the 5 gifted. Hype Train level 5 achieved. Athrian, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Well, the reason why people were not giving you the news accurately is because of the biases that they have, the biases towards whatever the State Department goals are. Most mainstream outlets, unfortunately, fail to deliver the news and analysis in a truthful manner to you because their primary purpose is to do the bidding of the state, specifically the State Department. Atrian, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. But we don't do that here because I'm not backed by ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, British Petroleum, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, or numerous other companies that want wars to continue. I'm only sponsored by you, the people, and therefore I deliver the news to you, the people. Of course, I have my own biases, but I think it's appropriate for me to reveal them to you ahead of time. I don't shy away from telling you what my perspective is. And you can make up your mind on whether or not it's appropriate. But the analysis will always be rooted in truth. We must always seek truth from facts. And we must always say the truth. Connie Kitty, thank you for the 10 gifted. As a matter of fact, I do have Oilers in this chat from the Pearl of the Gulf, the beautiful state of Qatar. I'm sure that those big Oilers didn't appreciate when I was talking about why Iran was establishing military deterrence and striking the nation state of Qatar. So even then, I am still primarily beholden to the truth.
And we just.
But let us get back to the analysis. That's rich considering you lie on time. Let me guess. Because I say I game. And I never do. That's what you're going to say, right? Anyway, we are currently at level 6 hype train. Almost done with level 6 hype train. Only 3 2/4 to go. You lie about gaming. Shake me before you put me down. Here you go. You have been shaken. You have been shooketh. It's true. You lied about gaming, you lying liar. Okay.
Just heard from Vice President J.D. Vance in Switzerland before these talks commence, and he rather had a more tame tone
yeah, we're gonna be playing this.
In comparison to the president's latest post
Charlie
on
Kirk
Truth
Nasheed.
Social. And also in the past few minutes, Fox News is attributing to an interview that the president did with them on this channel, essentially saying you close the Strait of Hormuz and you won't have a country, threatening that the United States may even take over the Strait of Hormuz. And also the
Level 7 hype train, Neon Communist, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. El Weto, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs.
continuous threat of taking over the country as well, which again, in contrast to the vice president's tone, tells us something that Leah, he is speaking to his base. He is speaking with the voters who voted for him, but also on Fox News, he's speaking with the voters who will vote in the upcoming midterm elections. And if I compare that.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump has an opportunity here. He has an opportunity to abdicate responsibility, which he loves to do, shift it over to Israel, and to salvage his reputation a little bit and say, look, we tried it. We got duped. We got pushed into this. It didn't work out. So now we're trying something different. I'm a deal maker. We're going to do wonderful deals with Iran. Okay? He is one of the few people with a literal cult that is capable of reaching a broad audience with this kind of message and convincing a lot of Americans. Some tape, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Level 7 hype train at 34%. Reporter here, the Iranian delegation just leaked that a new tenet of the updated MOU is streamer Hassan Piker resuming a gameplay of Telltale Batman. That's crazy. I didn't realize. I knew Arakshi was a Hasanabi head, but I didn't know he was a gaming watcher as well. He must have snuck that one into the memorandum of understanding. Oh well, I guess full-blown peace will never be accomplished.
With the rhetorics of the president of Iran, who spoke earlier today, he too is speaking with that domestic hardline base. And that's how I read into what the president of the United States has said, and also that of Iran. All the while, these historic talks seem to be going as planned.
Yes, and we heard from J.D. Vance there, didn't we? He says he hopes to make progress on the nuclear issue and on the Lebanon ceasefire issue. Two red lines that have been big talking points during this time, Tara.
Indeed. In that few brief moments that he spoke, J.D. Vance there, along with the Pakistani and Qatari counterparts just about an hour ago, he somewhat alluded to the issue of Iran's nuclear file and also the Strait of Hormuz somewhat being resolved, and that these talks would be the start of the technical discussions that we were expected to see in the 60 days that were to come after.
Say you will game this month if you get to level 15, learn how to farm subs. Okay, sure. I'll play a video game this month if we get to 15 hype train. But we can't even get to level 10 hype train. We got a minute remaining on level 7. Okay? I promise you. 100%. It's real.
after the signing of this 14-point MOU. But that is in stark contrast with what the Iranians are saying. Interestingly enough, we did not hear from the Iranian delegation. We heard from the Qatari prime minister as well as the Pakistani prime minister and J.D. Vance, but not from the Iranians. There we don't see the Iranian presence. And so the Iranians are saying, according to the spokesperson of the foreign ministry, that no, this is for us to just come into an agreement over the first pointer of this MOU, which is a conclusive end to hostilities in Lebanon.
That promises Israel's the MOU? Really interesting. Well, let me show you something here. Let me show you something. I downloaded Mecha Chameleon. Okay? That's right. I downloaded Mecha Chameleon already. So, you might be closer to that. You might be closer to seeing gaming on the Hasanabi broadcast than 100 oil tankers transiting the Strait of Hormuz unimpeded as a continuation of the Memorandum of Understanding. All right? It's up to you to achieve it. It's up to you to achieve it. We're all done with level 8 hype train. Whenever we hit level 10 hype train, I carry the flame every day. It's true. I do it every damn day. I carry it gladly, willingly. So if we do receive level 15 hype train, then you'll see it. You'll see it.
And then we're going to get other provisions out there.
What about the role of Israel then?
Of course. Well, the reason that the two sides have not moved beyond this first point is precisely because of Israel's engagement in southern Lebanon and, the deadly attacks that we've seen over the, course of the past 24 hours alone. Of course, Israel's argument is that we're retaliating against Hezbollah, and also Hezbollah seems to not be
Thank you for the 5 gifted. Gravity Musician. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Ellis Sparkman. Thank you for the 10.
He's an aid worker, and he said, Tara, what has happened in the past month alone is that people have even further radicalized because they've lost faith in the government of Lebanon, they've lost faith in diplomacy, and they believe that they're on their own, fending for themselves. And Leah, this is why civilians are the only really individuals and people paying the brunt of paying the price and really the toll of this war, and to be the continuing story that we're hearing in Lebanon.
What can we sense from the mood in those talks? What would it be like? It will be tough, I assume, to get over the line issues that we've seen in this war, the bombing of a school, the loss of life on the US side. In other words, so much has gone on. How do they clear the pathway for genuine peace?
Indeed. And I think that's the question on everyone's mind, on people's mind. If I speak with sources and people in Iran, Lebanon, Israel, people are tired of wars and conflicts, and people want to move beyond the rhetorics that they're hearing, quite frankly.
Okay. We know all.
For joining us now.
Danny Den outrageous. Danny Den rips media for blaming Israel over terror.
Now, Israeli ambassador to the United Nations.
Oh my God. Fox News is literally competing with ZBS and CNN to be the #1 most trusted news resource in Israel. Oh my God. Danny Danon gets yelled at or starts screaming because the United Nations is correctly calling Israel's war crimes out. And then instantly the next day, he's on Fox News to defend Israel's honor. Danny Danon, Israel is #1 nation.
Danny Danon, Ambassador, great to see you.
Good morning, Shannon. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start here. Iran says that they're closing the strait. There's dispute.
If the Iranian guy did this, Fox News would say, look, they're barbaric animals. Here they are. If the Iranian guy behaved in the same way that Danny Danon did at the UN Assembly, that's what they would say. By the way, we have officially reached level 10 hype train, so it is my great honor to carry the flame once again today. This is Charlie of Arabia. This has a story attached to it. In the shimmering heat of the Arabian desert. This is the story of Charlie Al-Kirk. known to the Bedouin as Abu al-Nur, father of light, known to the British as Charlie of Arabia. Broadcast this month.
يقرب والته إلى جواره بيت بني على الكتاب المقدس وعلى إيمان بلا خوف حاول العالم إسكاته لكن صوته باق فينا يتردد وبالمسيح يثبت نحن تشري كيرك نحمل له الشعلة سنقاتل من أجل الإنجيل وسنقرمم اسمه نحن تشري كيرك وشجاعتنا معا لا ننكسر سنجعل السماء معروفة المعركة ما احتدمت والظلام سيسقط ننهض بروحه ونلبي الندى الحق أبدي والصليب دليلنا ومع الله قائدا لنا نسير جنبا إلى جنب نحن تشري كيرك معا إلى كيرك ومع
Right. I was at the Costco this morning and saw a dude wearing a black hoodie that had a picture of Charlie Kirk on the back with 1993 to 2025 underneath it. Lamau, Alberta, by the way. Hell yeah, dude. It's great to see. It's great to see people. Kali Kirk was debating his Sunni versus Shia relations. He posed the question, counting or not counting Hashinshin violence when an infidel's arrow pierced his neck. Rest in Jannah. Yeah, thank God he actually said the Shahada and found the light of Allah and reverted to Islam on the spot. Okay, all right. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Jesus Christ. Wise words from the gaped crusader. Jesus Christ. All right. Now let's get back to someone who has not been carrying the flame. Danny Danon.
About how effective that is and is not at this point. But they say it's because Israel and Lebanon, that conflict continues. Vice President Vance talked about this in the White House briefing room this weekend about how that complicates Israel's action, what we're trying to accomplish in the Middle East. Here's what he said.
What the president has grown frustrated sometimes is that we seem to be right on the cusp of a major breakthrough in the agreement, and then all of a sudden there's a major explosion that goes off in a civilian population center in Beirut, and a lot of people who have nothing to do with Hezbollah lose their lives.
So, Ambassador, what are the conversations like? What are the understandings like between top U.S. and Israeli officials at this point about what's going on with respect to
Thank you for the
Lebanon?
10 gifted.
Regarding Lebanon, we talked directly with the Lebanese government, and we want to thank the Secretary of State and the U.S. officials for mediating the talks.
Okay, I can't listen to this fucking guy. Is this the new one? Fox News is complaining again about socialism. They're doing this every day now.
We are just 2 days away from major primaries in New York, where the city's congressional races are drawing nationwide attention. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has been hitting the trail to boost his fellow Democratic socialists as he works to expand their movement. Mamdani and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders argue that the current Democratic Party establishment does not meet the moment.
For far too long, our party has seen its job as managing decline instead of delivering material change for working people. It has seen its job as explaining why we cannot instead of showing.
I don't know which is the new one. They've been doing this every hour. Yeah, Fox News has gone back. Fox News, I didn't know your twin brother played for Iran. That's crazy. Come on, man. I don't know how to respond to that. Anyway. Oh, hype train is over. Hype train is over. Ladies and gentlemen, hype train died with a whimper. I guess summer with no gaming. Another season with no gaming.
How we can. Old way of thinking will lose on Tuesday.
And
At
there
least
is
we carried the
something
flame.
else that the American people understand, and that is that the politics and the policies of the Democratic establishment are no longer good enough.
National correspondent Brian Yennis has the latest from New York City. Hi, Brian.
Rich, good afternoon. Well, New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani and Senator Bernie Sanders are backing 2 Democratic socialists and 1 former Democratic socialist in 3 New York congressional House races ahead of Tuesday's primary. All 3 of these candidates are focused heavily on campaigning on Israel. In fact, these 3 candidates are attacking their progressive opponents for not being anti-Israel enough. All 3 accuse Israel of genocide and want to block U.S. military aid to the Jewish state. Here's Democratic Socialist candidate Claire Valdez, who says her opponent waited too long to accuse Israel of genocide.
So many Democrats stayed on the sidelines, they stayed quiet, or they even attacked us for protesting. What I want to see from our representatives is real moral clarity on this issue.
These Mamdani-backed candidates are also accusing their progressive opponents of accepting campaign money from AIPAC, the most influential pro-Israel lobbying group in the U.S. This week, Mamdani even called AIPAC, quote, monsters turning Americans against one another.
He didn't go that hard. I wish he did. I mean, he was talking about now is the time for monsters, is a Gramsci quote, but you know, did Fox News calm down on the Hassan bad segments? I mean, I usually catch a stray segments regardless, but no, they've just like the Hassan bad segments were all about this anyway, and you can see it as see it in the same vein, basically.
These monsters take many forms, would run political contributions than they would ever be made.
Earlier, chatters were saying that there was another Hassan bad segment, as a matter of fact.
To pay in taxes? In AIPAC, for whom the only thing more frightening than democracy being allowed to run its course is an end to genocide and Netanyahu's wars.
I didn't like that he said Netanyahu's wars, by the way. That was a script edit because Bernard, old Burn Dog, is in the building.
Mamdani's most controversial pick, Lisa Avila Chevalier, who's looking to unseat 5-term Democratic Congressman Adriano Espaillat. She wants to abolish prisons and is against all deportations, even for convicted criminals. In deleted tweets in 2020, she in part called former President Biden a war criminal, the U.S. an effing disgrace, and vowed to defund and abolish the police entirely. Avila Chevalier says a win by Democratic Socialists will prove that Mamdani's win in New York wasn't a flash in the pan. Quote, I think if we can prove that wasn't a fluke, that we are building the power of Democratic Socialists here in New York, and we are doing that at a level, I think that will be a domino for so many other cities and states across the country. We know that socialism beats fascism. It can't just be New York. It has to be the entire country that is building on socialist power for working people. If Mamdani's Democratic Socialist candidates defeat 2 incumbent Democrats on Tuesday, it will send a very large message. It'll raise a lot of eyebrows that perhaps the future of the Democratic Party is more socialist than ever. Rich.
Brian Yennis from New York. Brian, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in Alex Sawyer, the Washington Times editor-at-large, and Corbin Trent, the former communications director for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, former Bernie Sanders.
I think one of the funniest aspects of this is like AIPAC and Israel are unbelievably unpopular, but AIPAC is probably like the least popular entity in the country right now in politics, in a sea of, very unpopular entities, right? But one thing that you can always expect is that the New York Post is going to find a prominent rabbi or someone to be like, this is incredible anti-Semitism. Zohran Mamdani and his statements against this foreign lobby that is actively trying to subvert democracy is actually blood libel. And I don't think these guys understand this doesn't work anymore, like at all. Okay. And it's partially, it is partially never going to work because of these outlets kept hitting this line over and over again over the years. But it's hilarious that they just still do it regardless. It's like it's like reflex. Okay. It's a reflex. Yeah. I-24 News, Mamdani brands AIPAC monsters and broadside at pro-Israel Jews. I don't even understand what this fucking title is. But it's just funny that like, nope, This is blood libel. This is anti-Semitism. You're doing violence against Jews. Brother, American Jews don't fuck with AIPAC. What do you mean?
Strategist and the co-founder of Justice Democrats. Alex, we'll start with you. These are New York City primaries. They're not going to cost Democrats a seat. What is the national effect of all this, or is this just contained to a couple of House races in the city?
You know, I think it plays well in very blue areas, but not across the nation, especially when you have a Democrat candidate up against a formidable Republican. I think of the California governor's race. Steve Hilton ran a really strong competition there.
Yeah, no, that analysis is literally idiotic. The idea that this is that race is going to be anything but a blowout. Like, come on, guys. I mean, you're wish casting. Oh, really? You're saying that your super strong opponent have their backs blown out. That's what you're saying here. Like, that's what you're setting this up for. You're setting Steve Hilton up for even more failure.
And, you know, the more moderate candidate, Becerra, won. And I think that's what we'll end up seeing across the board nationwide. But as these far left candidates, you know, take center stage, I do think Republicans are going to into the midterms and even beyond, looking at the next presidential election cycle, to paint the Democratic Party as being socialist, right? And that's something that even polls nowadays, I mean, it's overwhelmingly, I think only 30-something% of the American public support socialism. Of course, it's much higher within the Democratic Party, but I don't see it playing well nationally.
Corbin, what do you think about the national effects of this? I mean, you're working to get these types of candidates, have them get success across the country. Is this something that can find success outside of New York, Washington, D.C., Seattle?
Well, it did in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And so that's exactly what the New Deal was based on, exactly what the TVA was.
Which was really bad. And we should never repeat that. Famously unpopular and famously bad initiatives.
Based on. That's what the interstate highway was built with. That's what NASA was built with. It was built with a blend of government-owned and...
Shut up, Corbin. Shut your mouth. Shut your dang mouth. We don't like those things.
You know, and company-operated, sometimes government-owned, government-operated entities. And that's how we built America.
Who's this Georgia man? Oh, no, he's an AOC, former AOC comms director. He's a dude. I'm playing the role of the Fox News. I'm playing the role of the Fox News bad and terrible things that he's
built the largest middle class in this nation. And the current economy that we have is not working for the overwhelming majority of Americans. I mean, people can't afford housing, they can't afford education, they can't afford groceries. And we've tried so many ways. You know, go back to Obama in 2008, and then you go forward to Bernie Sanders, you go forward to Barack Obama, and then Donald Trump a couple of times. People have been trying to vote their way out of this mess for a long time. And I think they're ready. They're willing. People are willing to try different things. And
he cooks every time he goes on Fox, and the other guy that cooks every time they go on Fox is obviously Shakir and Corbin Trent are the two guys that they always let on Fox News in like the earlier hours. They'll never be like a permanent panelist or anything, and they'll never go like Laura Ingraham. But on the weekend shows, they allow some of these dudes to go on Fox News and just like to defend democratic socialism, and it's awesome.
What we need is better competition. You know, like NASA, we've basically handed the keys from NASA over to a trillionaire now. Elon Musk, the welfare king. And I think that people are saying, hey, this is not working for me. I want to try something different. And I think it will resonate. There are places like Tennessee that can be brought back into the fold of the Democratic Party if Democratic candidates and incumbents start producing. That's the real question. Can they produce results?
Yeah, and that's how I was going to go to Alex with here. You've got examples now of some major cities, soon Washington, D.C., but New York City for the chunk of this year after January, that have been governed by Democratic Socialists. What have the results there been, and how high are the stakes party-wide for these mayors to succeed? And have we seen a retrenchment from some of the policies there?
Yeah, I think to your point, I remember when Mamdani first went into office, they had their big snowstorm. And of course, there were New Yorkers very upset about how long they were in traffic trying to get through, to get to work because of the snow still unplowed. So, you know, I think that it's going to take time to see how these policies actually impact the cities. And maybe by the next presidential cycle, that will be something Republicans hit home. I think that Corbyn said something that I think is across the board, speaks to voters, especially younger voters. This American dream is still being able to buy your own house. And that's something that, you know, I think if you look at the 70s, the average housing price was in like $20,000. And now we're looking at like $400,000 as your median. I think that there are candidates who are speaking to those core values, the affordability of housing, child.
This is probably my favorite type of Fox News conversation. I've, you know, someone advancing talking points at the behest of democratic socialism. The other side has to immediately concede. Done so much right-wing populism around like affordability themselves with no real clear solution to any of these problems beyond just claiming that it's the migrants that are ruining everything. But they have to recognize that this problem persists, right? That's my favorite type of Fox News commentary, when they're like, yes, affordability has gotten so out of control that people are looking as an answer to the crisis. It's so kooky. Great. That's good. My second favorite type of commentary that comes from Fox News whenever democratic socialism is talked about on their airwaves is they immediately get defensive posture, and they start talking about how we need more moderate Democrats. We need more responsible, moderate Democrats, and not this kooky pie in the sky. They turn into Hillary Rodham Clinton, basically. And then they start defending Nancy Pelosi. That's also awesome. Both are good. It's important. Liberals, take note if you're in here, hate watching. Take note of how you deal with Republicans. Take note with how you deal with reactionary sentiment. Take note of how they respond to you, where they call you a socialist and say you're ridiculous and crazy. But when there's an actual person who is at least sympathetic to that cause, their reaction is very different.
Care that will really resonate, especially because of this rise in populism across push on the establishment here in D.C. saying that this hasn't worked, let's try something different. I'm just not sure if across the board, across the whole nation, that everyone's going to get on board with the term socialism. It still does not poll well.
Corbyn, you've had Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, campaign against some of these candidates. Former House Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank, who passed away last month, he's made this final push. In it, he tells the New York Times...
From his deathbed, basically, ironically.
Yeah, on his deathbed. The key to liberal democracy being able to come back is to get rid of the perception that we have allowed to grow, that the entire Democratic Party is committed to a very drastic social reconstructions that go beyond the politically...
Yeah, like, we love Barney Frank here at Fox News. Oh, great. Hate watching liberals. I will fight for your right to housing and healthcare. So get with it or get out of the fucking way. I mean, yeah. I mean, I say the same thing to all manner of reactionaries, right? It doesn't matter what your point of view is. I'm still going to make sure that you get fucking adequate housing and you can live a more comfortable life.
Acceptable. His point was basically to push change in a way probably far less aggressive than those on the left are willing to push right now. And I mentioned this is on his deathbed. This is like the last thing he wanted to say on planet Earth to your party to find success. So do you think it is too aggressive the way that some of these candidates have pushed change? Do they need to go slower?
No, I think actually that's the biggest problem with this party is that they, you know, like Zohran Mamdani said in that speech, that this party's become the decline managers. They basically think that the status quo was working. You know, I think Clinton ran that campaign. Hillary Clinton ran that campaign. Kamala Harris ran that campaign. To some degree, Joe Biden was able to escape from it because he had a bigger brand than the Democratic Party itself. But no, they keep saying, great. You know, purchasing power's never been higher. The stock market's great. Everything is wonderful. It's like that Lego movie. Everything is wonderful. Everything is awesome, but it's not. Everything is not awesome. And I think that's why people twice now have turned to Donald Trump. That's why people where I'm turned to Donald Trump, not because of who he was as all of his actions that he took privately. They did it in spite of that because they want a better country. They want an affordable life. They want a country that's building. They want fixed, right? And the Democratic Party needs to understand that they're going to have to remodel this thing real quick. It's not functional. These systems that people, whether it's the Supreme Court, whether it's the IRS, these systems are dysfunctional.
Okay. Alex Sawyer, Corbin Trent, thanks for joining us.
All right, we got the Inside China's Insane Propaganda theme. The music is broken by Drew Gooden. We got Meet the Former CIA Agent Who Wants to Abolish the CIA. We're moving on to bigger things in a moment. Okay, we're moving on to more fun conversations in a moment. But before we do that, let's look at the far right and how it's rising across Britain. Okay?
Magma chamber of anger sat underneath British society. Right.
This is when Fox News brought you up today, by the way.
Okay, now someone else to say about the Supreme Court, not positive, and would like to see changes as well as Hassan Piker, very popular streamer. He's been out there backing a lot of progressive candidates. That's where you fall with a lot of these progressive candidates as well. But Karl Rove writes in the Wall Street Journal about the danger of associating with Hassan Piker. He says that
Karl Rove wrote about me? He's a criminal. In a just world, Karl Rove gets to write letters from prison when we allow him, okay? He doesn't get to live free. He gets to atone for his sins. He gets to atone for his crimes. And it's crazy that we do not live in such a just world. And he gets to live free and write for the Wall Street Journal about how dangerous I am. You're the dangerous one, man. Talking crazy is how you lose elections. He wrote about this. He wrote about, I guess, me and many others back on June 17th. It is kind of funny. I grew up despising these despicable monsters, right? Never knowing that one day that they would also have deep disdain for me. It's kind of crazy. It is kind of wild. I never, ever in a million years thought that I would get to a place in my career where the Wall Street Journal opinion editorial page is writing numerous hit pieces on me. And one of those hit pieces written by fucking Karl Rove, dude. Holy moly. Donald Rumsfeld being like, yo, you suck. Well, he's dead, so he can't be saying that. I mean, look, these guys are villains. These guys are monsters, right? So I don't mind. I welcome their hatred. I think it's awesome. Zoran gave a fire speech at the NAN Saturday Action Rally. Yeah, and it's Daria Liza's race is not getting the necessary coverage. The only type of coverage that Daria Liza's race is getting is like objectively negative, talking about her tweets, talking about how crazy her opinions are. It's been very frustrating to watch, especially because in the early polling that was conducted, when Daria Liza's opinions were better known by the broadest audience, because her biggest issue is obviously name recognition. No one knows who she is, right? And basically, whenever they got to know her policy positions, she shot up. So obviously, the short period of time in the primaries in New York 13 was supposed to be all about getting Daria Liza's policy prescriptions in front of people. And unfortunately, that's, I feel like there was a good deal of that. There was definitely some moneyed interest backing the race on the Daria Liza side too. You know, Justice Democrats were pumping a lot of ads into the race, so it's good. And I'm not talking like this is over, by the way. I mean, there's still election day, and hopefully you guys can phone bank and canvass even on election day. But it has been really gross. Like, it's been an unbelievably race. The way that Adriana Espaillat, hit some of the most odious lines against his younger opponent, Daria Liza. Here is one of the things that obviously took place. Adriana Espaillat has taken $7.4 million from real estate, Wall Street, Apex Network, and GOP mega donors. Now big money is flooding New York 13 to stop Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. Okay? I said lots of young people feel apathy after they go out, protest, get arrested, and vote every 4 years, and their lives don't change. No change takes place because these old relics keep winning their comfortable seats in primaries when no one's paying attention. All this investment, all these, donations, are what ensures Harlem continues to be gentrified, ISIS funded like a nation's military, and Israel keeps converting your tax dollars into murdered children. The New York 13 congressional primary has been so unbelievably negative, so racist. The smear campaigns against Daria Liza are unlike anything I've ever seen before. Daria Liza simply has a bold vision for change. That's it. Okay? She's been a fighter for some of the most vulnerable populations her whole life. Espaillat is a corrupt relic of a bygone era. That's what's at stake here. New York City has the opportunity to be this change nationwide. Voting isn't the end-all be-all, but it's the easiest, most consequential thing you can do. Yeah, they activated like the Dominican bot network, and they were flooding her replies, calling her a Haitian over and over again. Now, obviously, to the onlookers, you might not know what the specifics of that is or why that's a racial smear. It's a racialized intention of that is a racialized smear. Cole Sandick says, Espaillat is running one of the most racist, dirty campaigns I've seen from a Democrat. At every poll site, he's screaming that Daria Liza is Haitian. He has bots spamming her social media with racial slurs. He won't condemn it. None of his backers will condemn it. It's yet another example of how liberal identity politics, with all its attention on symbolism and representation, constantly polarizes into nativism, racial sectarianism, and eventually fascism. Liberals should care about this stuff more than the diversity of canvas pictures. Yeah. It's crazy. This is literally the former energy minister for DR campaigning for Espaillat and being racist towards Daria Liza. Former energy minister of the Dominican Republic. To the Dominican Americans in New York City, Dominicans in New York with voting rights must stay highly alert. Everything points to Mayor Mandhani being downplaying the political influence of the hardworking, thriving Dominican community. He proposed a Muslim candidate to run against Representative Rep. Espaillat, who apparently had refused certain demands from the mayor, who aspires to ethnically reconfigure the entire election district, integrate new voters from other groups that are more aligned with him, including among them Haitians with whom he has strong commitments. All of this is going unnoticed. There's a story there, but it's not being covered because the media, both mainstream media outlets, and all the local newspapers are too busy shitting on Daria Liza at the behest of Espaillat. Okay? This is heinous. This is happening, and it's been happening for the last month or so. It's actually insane that no one has fucking called this shit out or what? These are your supporters. These are people that you're aligned with. The mayor of New York City has just appointed a sheriff of Haitian origin. North Americans of Dominican descent must respond with unity to that crazy strategy of Mandhani. At the same time, they must remind Representative Espaillat that he must give the highest priority on his agenda to denouncing the international crime being committed against the DR. There is no Dominican solution to Haiti's problems. Yeah. Representative Espaillat is welcoming this kind of racialized hatred, this racialized animosity against his much younger, much more progressive Afro-Latina opponent. Okay? She's also Dominican, by the way. She's also Dominican. Yeah, he didn't even show up to the New York 13th Congressional Forum hosted by local community organizations, of course. This man does not even. Al Sharpton is a powerhouse in Harlem, him letting her speak there. He also let Espaillat speak after. Here's the thing, okay? This man does not care about his constituents. His constituent services is dog shit. That's the reason why a lot of people were actually very excited at a serious challenger, no matter who it was. Okay? And he's not even dignifying his constituents, his voters, by appearing in person. Okay? New York to DC is not that big of a trip. Gustavo Rivera says, only hearing about this today, but if these shameful, despicable attacks against Daria Lisa are indeed occurring, Espaillat needs to condemn it publicly and instruct this campaign workers and or volunteers to friggin' stop. This ain't how anyone should try to win this race. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it from a Democrat nonetheless. Or rather, the last time I saw stuff like this, it was Hillary Rodham Clinton against Barack Obama. Okay? From an establishment Democrat against a younger black challenger was the Hillary primary campaign against Barack Obama is coming from. Hold on. I'm going to tweet about that too. Energy minister as he campaigns local and is silent. Do you realize you sigh heavily when tweeting and reading Twitter? No. Dominican xenophobia is a very powerful tool to use, especially in this district. I'm afraid if they don't hear the affordability arguments, Dominicans will vote for their preconceived prejudices. Centrist Dems are now just the Republican left. Yeah. Yeah. Son, you look good. How do you do that? I don't know. I do it very carefully. Last time I saw this much open racialized hatred from an establishment Dem against the younger black challenger was the Hillary campaign against Obama. This kind of hatred is coming from the former DR energy minister as he campaigns for Espaillat. Local media and MSM is silent. Shame. Cuomo's apt too, but Zoran isn't black. Espaillat is focused on building his personal political machine. His daunting list of proteges and disciples is so notorious the media have dubbed it the Squadriano. Others call him the dean of Dominican elected officials. Instead of pursuing significant policy changes, however, Espaillat is a manager of relations, friends, and mentees, and money and focus exclusively on building his power base. The crisis of Latino New York, says Eli Valentin, a political analyst with a focus on Hispanic politics, is Espaillat's means to a personal end. Yes, it is expanding the Dominican representation, Valentin said in 2022, but ultimately it goes back to Adriano. By reproducing for himself the machine that he initially opposed, Espaillat has staved off challengers through deals with other party stalwarts, as he attempted to do with Mayor Mamdani. But machine politics does not just mean insider deals. By failing to build popular support, a machine boss must rely on the support of corporate and well-financed political interests. Espaillat has gladly accepted PAC money, including hundreds of thousands from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, and AIPAC-linked donors. His reliance on donor money in the Democratic Party enabled him to ignore the crisis of displacement in New York. Espaillat has supported tenant protections, criticized deed theft, and presented himself as a housing advocate, but he remains trapped inside a politics of mitigation, minimize harm, fund the nonprofit, regulate the worst abuse, and preserve the image of representation through bold speeches. Meanwhile, Latino New York continues to disappear because rent, speculation, disinvestment, and luxury development have been allowed to reshape the city faster than ordinary people can defend their homes, no matter how many powerful press conferences leaders stage. This is an article by P.K. Gandikin on Geese Magazine. Or is it on Geese Magazine? Never mind, it's not. Is it? Yeah. Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier represents the future of her district. What the fuck? I'm a political brother. I'm here for the pop culture. Yeah, you don't know who's doing it. Joe Mashadi, Uncle Joe. JCPO is the best thing that ever happened to Iran. The Israelis are so sexy when they're angry. Okay, take an hour off. Horn dog. It's crazy. Take a cold shower in that hour. As someone on the ground in New York 13, there are countless reports of Espaillat people verbally harassing or physically threatening Dari volunteers. Insane shit, bro. I saw today. No, he's doing mob boss shit, dude. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, Geese editor-in-chief P.K. Gandikin wrote this new article on the insurgent Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier's campaign in New York. He argues DSA defeating the reactionary establishment candidate Espaillat is vital, regardless of his progressive posturing. Geese Magazine has written some very impressive articles. I really like them. Anyway, it's insane. And yet, as always, the media is not covering this shit, right? Part of the reason why they're not covering this shit at all, in my opinion, is because they are also objectively terrified of this kind of politics gaining mainstream popularity, gaining momentum, right? So all they're doing is look at our old tweets, look at our old tweets, look at our old tweets. They don't talk about Espaillat's failures. They don't talk about Espaillat's, like, you have an incumbent machine politician that is a high-ranking Democrat, and he can barely get 38% in his own internal polling a couple weeks out from a primary election. That implies that there's a real crisis there. That implies that his own constituents do not like him. Now, you have a no-name challenger, an insurgent that's come out of this wave of popularity for democratic socialists, who is a community organizer, who is a constituent herself, unafraid to challenge this calcified, old machine politician. And she's actually gained a lot of momentum in the process. That implies that there's a crisis there. That's a story. This is how the media normally works, okay? If it bleeds, it leads. If there's a crisis, if there's an interesting story there, they will cover it. The reason why they're not covering that story and instead are hyper-focusing on Daria Liza's tweets is because she's not a machine politician, so you can't actually point to her failures as a politician. And every article that you write about what she has said in the past about Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or exaggerated versions of like what her theory is, what her theory of change is always going to be an article that you don't have to write about Espaillat's failures. And that's precisely what's going on here. Okay? The media gets to reframe the conversation between an unbelievably unpopular institutional politician and a primary challenger as a silly primary challenger. Don't pay attention to her, or if you're going to pay attention to her, look at all these negatively framed articles against her. This is another point of controversy, okay? Using racialized hatred against this young Afro-Latina challenger is straight up built, designed for local newspapers. It's built and designed for mainstream media, and yet they're not doing it. They're not covering that angle at all. That's a beat that's worthy of pursuit. I don't personally expect the media to do this out of the kindness of their hearts or because they're like moral. They're a moral force that wants this kind of odious politics to no longer happen or take shape in a place as progressive as New York City and its politics and its political machine. I don't expect them to do that out of the kindness of their heart, but I do expect them to do that because this would be an interesting article to write and it would be an interesting article to read. And yet they're not doing it. I think it's because they're afraid of the momentum. They want to deliver as many L's as possible to the Democratic Socialists of America so they can turn around and say, see, this politics was a one-off. It was just Zoran who had a good smile, and that's the only reason why it worked. And that's precisely the reason why it's extra important to push for both Claire Valdez and Daria Liza. Okay? We know that these Democratic Party machines were built for decades. These institutions churn out the same exact business as usual politics. They make sure that the politicians that stay in charge, that stay in these positions of profound power, are ones that will not advance your interests, but will advance the interests of corporations. And they're willing to cave. They're willing to work with more malleable figures, even if they are progressive, right? Claire Valdez's opponent in the commie corridor is one of these figures. But we have to keep pushing. We have to push extra hard. We have to support these candidates. We cannot allow Espaillat to remain in power. He is an AIPAC-backed pro-Israel stooge. He is in favor of funding ICE. Now that he changed his tune because ICE has fallen out of favor, doesn't change that dynamic. He has given ICE $7 billion. He has written off $7 billion worth of taxpayer funds to ICE. He has signed off on billions of dollars of aid going to Israel, signed off on billions of dollars of weapons going to Israel. Your tax dollars. if you're sitting around and wondering why the fuck the Democratic Party, why is the Democratic Party not responsive to my needs? If you're sitting around and wondering why the Democrats don't listen to our just calls to reconsider this relationship that we have with Israel, it's because of the people like Adriana Espaillat in safe seats that are presenting themselves as a hurdle towards that change, towards that progress, that just demand that you're making, because they're getting paid. Okay? He is an amoral actor, purely invested in defending his seat, purely invested in sitting and winning these races easily. And yes, this applies to Grace Meng as well. It's not mum's the word on that race. Chuck Park for Queens. I'm in favor of it. I'm in support of it. There's a reason. I, however, also don't have an infinite amount of time and bandwidth. Okay. The DSA itself is also obviously not this omnipotent this omnipotent force in New York politics is growing. Okay, you have to understand, like, we have to make these calculations at times. I mean, it's great. Yeah, go vote for Chuck Park. I'm fully in favor. Why wouldn't I be? Anyway, now let's get back to Ro Khanna being asked silly questions on Fox News.
Okay, now someone else who's had a lot to say about the Supreme Court, not positive, and would like to see changes as well, is Hassan Piker, very popular streamer. He's been out there backing a lot of progressive candidates. That's where you fall with a lot of these progressive candidates as well. But Karl Rove writes in the Wall Street Journal about the danger of associating with Hassan Piker. He says this. He said that America deserved 9/11, mocked Representative Dan Crenshaw, a Republican out of Texas, for losing an eye in combat, and proclaimed that he would, quote, vote for Hamas over Israel every single time. Rove writes, good luck defending him in flyover country. I would note, he also said if you care about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, that, quote, you will kill Rick Scott, which he later toned down and apologized for. But why would you associate with someone like him? Do you think it works in middle America?
Well, I'm in Middle America. I'm doing this interview from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. But let me just say this. I've called Hamas a terrorist organization. Obviously, 9/11 was a terrorist attack, and I supported the strikes in Afghanistan to take out al-Qaeda. But look, I go on different programs. There are people on Fox News who say things that I disagree with. Hassan Piker is a journalist. There's certain things that he has said which we shouldn't get into foreign wars. We shouldn't be giving, in my view, the kind of aid that we do to Israel. We should be putting that into the redevelopment of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. So people should be judged on our views, not whether we're engaging with different forums. I mean, I think the whole point of democracy is to go on different places.
New day, early voting from the New York City Board of Elections 2026. Early voting is now complete. In Manhattan, 67,000. Bronx, 14,000. Brooklyn, 54,000. Queens, 33,000. Staten Island, 3,000. Brooklyn turnout is mostly 7 and 10. Queens is mostly 7 and some 6. Love how they completely reframe your quotes into things that are unrecognizable from what you actually said. Yeah, obviously they're going to do that. It's the Republicans. Their job is to obviously bastardize the message. Why would they be like Hassan Piker? In the way that Ro Khanna explained it, he said Hassan Piker wants all of the billions of dollars that we're spending and wasting on foreign entanglements to go back to Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That's true. That's my take. You think Fox News is going to cover it like that? Of course not. They can't, because then it's not all that different from what Trump is saying. Remember when Trump was also saying, oh, well, I'm an isolationist. Why are we getting into wars? We should do peace. We shouldn't be giving so much money to these foreign countries. We should be focusing on ourselves. That's what Trump said too. Obviously, the reason why Trump said it is because it's a popular and very powerful message. It's a message that the average American can understand. It's a message that the average American agrees with. That's why they fucking voted for him. Okay? There's a decent chance many young voters are waiting until election day to vote, but this isn't a great sign for Valdez and Daria Lisa. Lander will be fine. That said, given Mamdani's popularity, the two may be able to win on persuasion alone rather than relying on a turnout edge. Yes. The thing is, numbers haven't been too great. The turnout numbers have not been great, and they haven't been that young. I mean, it's changed a little bit over the course of the early voting, especially in the commie corridor. But even then, it's like it's shocking how little young people care about these races. Anyway, we're gonna do this. The right is rising across Britain. Save England, and then after that, I'm gonna get to
Trump ally Nigel Farage made massive gains in local elections in May. This rightward shift isn't one single movement. The different groups represent different shades of right-wing politics, but they all seem to be feeding off of a divided Britain. At the heart of those divisions is the issue of migration. Just this week, a horrific attack by a Sudanese refugee on the streets of Belfast almost immediately turned into the latest "I told you so" moment for the far right, amplifying the message and fanning the flames of hate.
People in Britain are angry.
Joe Mulhall infiltrated far-right groups undercover here in the UK and in the US. He's one of the UK's top experts on these movements.
You know, if you look at the way that people's lives have been, lack of jobs, houses, schools, hospitals, stagnated wages, living standards going down or stagnating for years and years, and they feel that mainstream political parties have not met their material needs. What the far right are really good at, they're really good at redirecting people's anger from where it should be directed.
I've seen exactly what Joe's talking about.
just posted with friends of the show. Last June, we made history. This June, we fight for a city you can afford is on the ballot again. Get out to vote for Abercawas, Eli Northrup, Iapa, Sairi Tupac, Samantha Catan, Brian Romero, and of course, Clara, Dari, and Brad. Go New York, go. You know, for all my fucking... Sometimes I criticize Zoran, but he has been really pushing. He has been really pushing for these guys. I'm not shocked how uninvolved younger voters are. I'm 26, and the fact that you can visibly see the conducive conditions getting worse and basic needs being more expensive, you just kind of check out mentally. There's a growing movement of people choosing to be homeless and becoming vagabonds because it's easier than work until you die, but become unable to work and still get no compensation. 2025 was an insane outlier where young people showed up in the early vote. Look at the Chris Rapp race, for instance. The early vote had him in a distant second, but when election day came, he propelled first, going from 31st to 44%. Yeah, hopefully we get that because we desperately need it. Thank you. No. I will say, though, dude, nothing motivates young people like fucking gaining a crumb of internet clout. You know what I mean? I do become an old man a little bit, but like you look at the turnout for like a Kai Cenat streamer university event, right? When you see stuff like that, and the amount of young people that show up to shit like that, as opposed to, you know, going out and voting, you realize we got a long way to go. To be fair, it's mostly men. What do you mean? That's still, yeah, men still vote or are supposed to. How do we get clout in political activism? I mean, I'm trying. What do you mean? What do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to. Those are 14 to 17-year-olds? Yes, exactly. No, those aren't just 14 to 17-year-olds. You're wrong. Many of them are over the age of 18. I think you literally are. You're totally wrong about that, actually. There's a shit ton of people that are over the age of 18.
How consecutive governments have dealt with this issue. And with the center-left Labour Party back in power for the first time in 2 decades, you see those divisions and feel the anger.
Right now, their martyrs have been housed in this town.
They're a loud crowd, but it's clear.
My least favorite thing the chat does is whenever I say I'm about to move on to fun stuff and don't instantly move on to fun stuff, they go, you said we were going to do fun stuff. Like, shut the fuck up. Okay, it's 3 more minutes.
There are more noise than numbers. And you do see locals coming out to confront them. The main event kicks off with a rambling mix of racist rhetoric, fear-mongering, and white supremacist conspiracy theories.
They're teaching about Muhammad and Allah.
We will not tolerate our children to be taught about LGBTQ and what pronouns of belief, what they can identify as. We will not tolerate that round here. Keep up the pressure and one day you will be victorious!
At this one tiny town's protest, we find one of the leaders of the UK's extreme right.
Our country's been taken over by mass immigration. We're fed up. This is not the future that our grandparents and great-grandparents fought for in 2 world wars. They didn't fight for this to be done to our country.
How much of this is really influence from the US?
Literally. This is what I'm talking about when I say we don't understand. A lot of people are oblivious to this. This is another fucking Babe Ruth moment for me. I'm telling you, I've been saying this for a minute. The entire international fascist movement is completely centered around the American far right, the Trump movement, MAGA.
There's no question there's a huge influence. When the far right is small little fringe political parties, that sounds fanciful.
Are we headed into a direction where...
And Elon Musk is playing a major role in this too.
The far right is turning into a significant political force in Britain?
I think there's no doubt about it, right? The far right is no longer something that sits on the very margins of our politics in Britain, an annoyance to the right. It is increasingly something that actually has the real chance of taking power in Britain.
But vocal minority that's threatening to change the face of Britain. Now they believe their moment has arrived.
Most parents bring their kids to theme parks to meet Mickey Mouse.
It's time for fun stuff. I love this guy. And he is living my dream. He's back in China, and this time he's at that Chinese Civil War reenactment theme park, and I really want to go here too.
Chinese parents are bringing their kids here to fight nationalist swine. Welcome back to China.
This is Red Tourism. 33 sites across China dedicated to one thing, patriotism. As tensions rose between East and West, China needed a way to remind its people why the Communist Party exists. And what better way to do that than immersive propaganda theme parks where you don't just learn about China's revolutionary history.
It's so funny to say this when, I mean, it's literally the same as the LARP in our Civil War, right? Like Civil War reenactment is I mean, I like Mike. I like Mike a lot. I think he's a great guy. I think he's also very good at like showing the humanity of Chinese people and how wonderful China is. But this is like on its face, very much an initiative by the Chinese government. So I assume he's going to be a little bit more aggressive in his commentary.
You live it in the most fun way possible. These parks are so viral that even foreigners are taking up arms to join the communist revolution. Xi Jinping himself says, only by experiencing the hardships of the revolutionary era can people truly receive education. So I guess it's time to get educated.
And we are joined by everyone's favorite American commie. Someone that I think you've probably been, Connor's here. I think you've been, over the years, you've slowly found yourself opening up to the Chinese way of life.
That's right.
You're in a very Chinese time of your life.
That's right.
Right?
How.
Hold on.
You gotta fight the good fight, bro.
Why is Hasanabi out there? Because I'm fake. I'm phony. I'm a bitch. I'm a chud-ass loser. Come on now.
Really, so I'm currently trying to apply for my US visa. Do you think that attending a communist Chinese patriotic theme park is going to throw any cogs, any spanners in those cogs?
Maybe you wait. Maybe you wait till you leave the US.
As long as I don't like dress up or anything as a commie, and as long as I don't like actually fight nationalists, then it should be fine, right?
Yeah, you're just a spectator.
I'm just a spectator. I'm not going to like dress up. It's not like I'm going to dress.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. So with these Red Army patriotic theme parks here in China, everything's themed. They got the Red Army restaurant. They've got a shooting area. Take the Long March again. Is there anything more Chinese? For how many balls? For one box?
Yeah, I think it's a box.
Fuck yeah.
You can get mortars or you can get Look how big they are. They're like fucking basketball.
Oh my god, right.
3点一线啊，这是1点。
Yeah, okay.
发射。
Yes.
打中了，后面的把牌会倒的。
Now are they, is that Hitler on the left side over there?
Can you tell us a little bit about these people that we're shooting?
就是打中了啊，我们会下雨，下雨。打中了他。
There is perhaps no greater demonstration that all men are brothers and the Chinese are so spiritually American than this exact enterprise. Okay. This, to me, as an American, it speaks to my base desires. Okay. And in the most Chinese fashion, they took something that Americans can understand, comprehend, enjoy, appreciate, and they made it even more fun. They made it more interactive. They took the Civil War reenactments and they turned it into an interactive theme park. It's fucking awesome.
Did you retain any of the information on how to use this gun?
Yeah, you load it from the right and then hit the green button. Let's try to demonstrate for the good folks at home. Wow.
Nice, dude. Mate, they're fucking... They've got some power in them, dude.
Yeah.
So what can you teach us very, very briefly about the history of who we're probably fighting right now?
So this is the Kuomintang, most likely. They were like the existing government in China, and then Mao and all the other communist homies led an uprising.
Yeah.
Several uprisings throughout the country, and this is, I guess, where like a major battle happened.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, this I was just reading. Zhun Yi is on the was a midpoint. It was a pivotal midpoint of the Long March. So did you hit the red thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, close, dude.
Yeah! Let's fucking go! Take that, nationalists! That's right, 100%.
It's not just the nationalists. I'm pretty sure they're hitting the Japanese too, right?
Yay!
Yeah. Can we shoot the cannon?
Oh, dude.
打那个前面那个
Hey! Yeah, hang on. That could definitely kill you, yeah. Yeah, so they've got old, what looks like propaganda paintings.
So you have Mao, looks like leading the Red Army into battle. And they're very happy to go to war for him. Look at that.
So right now we're in Zhun Yi, we're in the mountains of Zhun Yi, just south of the city of Chongqing. And this is a place that was passed through directly by Mao Zedong and the Red Army during the Long March. And the Long March was essentially 10,000 kilometers of pure brutality. So many of them died. They would cross rivers. Do you know how many of what percentage of them actually survived the Long March?
Yeah, like 10%.
Like 10%, dude.
There's like several 100,000 started and only like 80,000 survived.
They were crossing rivers, they were evading. It was essentially a retreat. It was a strategic 10,000 mile long retreat. I mean, you look at these mountains, man, you're traveling just through this with whatever supplies you would have had in 1934, which would have been fuck all. And this theme park here just commemorates that journey, because Zhun Yi was a pivotal moment on the Long March. How are you? That's okay. That's okay. You look great. You look cool. 对. 30, okay. I'm being recruited into the communist army right now. Thank you, yes. I missed that part of the Civil War history where they had Glocks. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Can I see it? Got you. Oldest trick in the book.
Oh, what are we doing?
Oh, hey, this is kind of snazzy,
Dude,
bro.
it is snazzy. I wonder if we can buy them.
It's like PJs. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
All right, guys, get ready with me. We're gonna go to Civil War today.
We need hats.
Yeah.
And I think we need guns.
Of course.
看小不小了，有点小，有点
That's
小。
okay. I've got a big head. I know. I've got a big head.
小了，小了。
I've got a big capitalist head.
W LARPs.
Thank you so much. We've got our commie uniform. They forced me to wear it. They forced me to wear it, I promise. We've got our commie gun. And we've got our commie red band. I don't actually know what's about to happen. How did you guys hear about this thing?
Sorry, on Instagram.
On Instagram, how are you? What's your guys' names?
Andrew.
Andrew and Mike. Nice to meet you guys. Yeah, it's not quite Disney World, is it? But it's like, I think it's better. It's like the Chinese version of Disney World. Yeah. So these guys, a British guy and an Aussie guy, they saw this on Instagram. They saw this experience on Instagram, and it's going viral. It's going seriously viral. And I would love to know what the Chinese think about foreigners and coming to do this experience. Hello, sir. What do you think about foreigners coming and experiencing your culture and your history in this way? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. Yes. How are you doing?
I came to China because of you.
Thank you, my brother. Why? Why specifically?
Well, you know, I saw your videos.
Yeah.
Of China, not the city part, but the rural part.
The rural parts. These kind of experiences, because of social media, we're literally living in a world where foreigners are coming here to China and dressing up as commies and going into battle with guns, you know? Like, that's what happens when the government decides to stop hiding the propaganda and actually starts trying to make it fun.
Don't talk about the government. Don't you talk about the government.
That's right. Wait, they have like actual fucking PLA people? That's crazy. You know they're taking this shit serious. Someone's peanut butter jealous? Dude, you don't understand. First of all, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this in the future. When I go to China next time, I will abso-fucking-lutely do this. How come you didn't do this last time? I didn't know it existed. You think if I knew that there was WLARPs that I could participate in, and I didn't do WLARPs, like specifically communist LARPs? Specifically communist LARPs in China? Are you out of your fucking mind? You would have gotten Omega canceled? Oh my God, I don't care. First of all, this is a historical reenactment, and what are they going to get mad that there was a civil war? Like what, they're fucking KMT supporters? Like, I don't understand. Like, you guys do realize that, like, this is pre stuff that people criticize Mao Zedong for, right? This is actually the revolution. This is good. You can't, like, people complain about the Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward. This stuff they don't really complain about. This is just normal, basic, Civil War stuff. You couldn't have even done it because construction finished after you left. They waited for me to leave the country because they knew I would never leave.
I think I've accidentally been recruited into the Chinese army. I think our audience is here. I thought it was going to be school kids. Hi! Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, you pay to literally be a part of a reenactment that other adults watch? That is crazy. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is literally my dream. Yeah, I'm Israel Epstein, okay? Straight up. Like, I have my LARP ready to go. I'm Israel Epstein, one of the only non-Chinese, honorary Chinese members of the Communist Party of China. They have white boys. M. Israel Epstein, that's a new variation? No, it's a real guy. Okay, the name Israel and the name Epstein existed before Jeffrey Epstein and the nation state of Israel. Yes, I'm talking about a real guy. Member of the Standing Committee of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Ipe was a Chinese journalist of Polish origin. Epstein was one of the few foreign-born members of the Chinese Communist Party. If you want me to do W LARPs, I got it.
Damn, this guy's good.